And we're live. There we go. I mean, sometimes it's weird because it'll like show live, and then when I actually go back in, like it'll show me waiting for a second. So it's like it doesn't say I've gone live yet, but we actually have. So YouTube is of course deceptive because it's North Central Positronics. But welcome YouTube to episode number 36, book club number 36 for Wizard and Glass.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at the calendar, and we are going to finish on, let's see, Wizard and Glass number, where is it at? Wolves the Call is right there, 41. So we still have a ways to go here, but I mean, not really. All things considered, the fact that we've basically been covering this, for 36 episodes, this will be 36. So let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started for Wizard and Glass.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver, specifically the Wizard and Glass book club number 36. We are chugging right along in this book. We have, I just looked ahead at the calendar. We have 41 total that will be for this book club. And crazily enough, we were not going to be jumping into the next book until, let's see, August 15th. So it's still a ways to go. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And that's, I don't know, but it seems like things are definitely coming to a head here. In context, of course, it does seem like we still have a little ways to go, but the way that this year's been flowing so far, we'll be there before you know it. And on top of it, this is the 36th episode in, so it's not like we haven't been spending a long time on this. Let's see if I got a record of when we started. I don't
May
actually.
21st, 2023.
Okay, so yeah, it's been.
I wrote down predictions for how long we would think Wizard and Glass would take, because we did that in our first or second episode when we did the book club.
Okay.
So I wrote it down that you have predicted that it would take 3.5 years, so November 21st, 2026. I predicted it would just be a solid 4 years, so May 21st, 2027.
Okay.
Looks like you're going to be the winner on
I was
that one.
closer, but I did break the Price is Right rules, though. Because I did go over.
You did go over.
So should have just gone it'll take us a year.
It'll take us a year. Yeah, right.
Let's go ahead and dive on into the intro stuff real quick. There is no spoiler warning for this episode. We have a spoiler section for these episodes. For the book clubs, the whole premise here is we stay where we're at or before we don't jump ahead. We do have a spoiler section at the very, very end. It's usually less than 1% of the last tail end of the episode. We will give you a visual warning on the screen if you're watching YouTube, and audio warning for whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast side. So if you are kind of meandering through maybe book 5 or 6 right now, and it's not safe to listen to a roundtable, this is still a very safe episode until you hear that buzzing klaxon alarm. So
if you are behind if you're, oh no, yeah, never mind.
If
I wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah, exactly. So that there's no real spoiler warning until you hear the alert at the very end. If you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasting, stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and any podcasting service of your choice. You could subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those. We'd appreciate that. Then you can join us live here at youtube.com/Dark Tower Palaver. Also, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, because YouTube will destroy you if you don't say that.
And I must have forgotten to do that a couple episodes ago, and that's why you got destroyed. Well, your internet got cut off.
Oh, maybe.
Did you forget?
It could be.
Is that what happened?
Also, just as the thing right now, I don't know what's going on, but Threads was not loading for me, so I think Threads might be down right now.
Uh-oh.
So if you're a Threads-specific person, you will not have seen a Dark Tower Palaver alert for this episode because I waited for like 30 minutes for it to load, and it would not load, so I just finally gave up on it. So ringing the bell for notifications is the absolute best way to get notifications. I don't know if iPhone works, but I know that you can get like alerts set up on your Android phone where it'll like actually pop up as a notification on your phone saying that like a channel you subscribe to is going live. So you can definitely get some, and I would assume maybe
it does.
Does it? I mean, yeah, because I know that Android and is that's all Google, and obviously YouTube's Google. Yep. So I didn't know if that was just like an interbreeding thing there. They don't allow it for iPhone or whatever. I don't know. I don't go on the.
I go off of the. I'm saying it does off of the assumption of looking at one of my favorite YouTube channels, WatchMojo.com, that does like the top 10 lists and stuff like that. It says just go into your phone and turn on notifications. So
okay,
it doesn't say on your Android phone do this, on your Apple phone do this. It just says it in general. So I assume you could.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so and then of course, if you want to find the show notes, you can do that at darktowerpalaver.com. That is the hub for all things Dark Tower Palaver. There's links for everything Dark Tower Palaver over there, as well as we'll be talking, I'll give an announcement here in a second about March Insanity that starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, crazy enough, we're on the very last day of February here. So
already.
Yeah, which is wild. So the show notes, check that out. There's no show notes for this episode, of course, but you can find the show notes for all the previous episodes. You can find all the March Insanity stuff at darktowerpalaver.com/March Insanity. Then if you want to support the show, you can subscribe on patreon.com/Dark Tower Palaver. And with that, for every level of support, you get access to our Discord server where you could chat with us about Ermot and your remembrances all throughout the week. You could just send one randomly on a Wednesday afternoon. That's a happy thing. And then, of course, you can get access to our monthly hangouts. We just did our one for February where we both watched 1408. Hilariously enough, it turned out that we had watched different versions of 1408.
Yeah, we didn't realize that there was alternate endings.
No, I knew there was. I just
I didn't know there was alternate endings.
At one point you asked me about one of my accounts and if I had it on there, and I'm like, yeah, I will be getting it. So I assumed you'd be watching it on my thing anyway. So I was just like, I was very.
I was not able to because it has signed me out. So that's why I was like up early on a day, and I was like, I'm not going to bug Tad and wait for it. I'm just going to go rent it because I figured out a way to do it with my Google Play rewards on my phone.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, I'll just watch it this way. I didn't realize that would be such a big thing because you were looking at me like I was crazy yesterday. You're like, no, he's in the movie later. And I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah, indeed. So then, of course, if you're at the highest level of support, you can also co-host a show with us. And then if you want to contact the show and maybe send, I don't know.
Don't just stop there. If you want to contact the show, you can email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. And then there's our Threads and Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then we also have our Blue Sky account. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we have our Twitter. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. Tad over here doing his evil fingers. Stop it. Facebook.com/darktowerpalaver is where you find us on Facebook. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. And just like right now, hashtag Tad is terrible. Get that. Get yourself a sticker, shorts, hat, coffee mug, tapestry, wall art.
You know what just hit me? With the
another wave of evilness.
With the audiobook, I could easily get me a performance of Frank Muller doing Rhea the Coos saying Ermot to make that a button.
Ugh.
Get an Ermot button. Because we have an Oi button. We need to balance that out here. So
Oi. Because he's a good boy. He's the best. Second
also,
best.
I don't know if you saw in the chat, but there's been some.
I've been ignoring it because if you ignore it, it goes away, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, of course, as I just mentioned, March Insanity does start tomorrow. It is our, I believe, 6th annual Dark Tower bracket where we are crowning the most tragic Dark Tower character. Also, on the Stephen King side, we started a non-Dark Tower Stephen King one, which encompasses everything that's not Dark Tower that's Stephen King. And last year we started that one, so this is the 2nd annual on that. And there we are crowning our most beloved character. So
non-Dark Tower character.
Yeah, but Stephen King. Yeah. So with that, go over to darktowerpalaver.com. I believe at midnight it'll post and be ready for voting. And then it's just basically a week for every week to go through each of the rounds. The final round is 1 day short because there's not enough days to get a nice round full week. So, so go ahead and go over there, get your vote in, and help us crown most tragic Dark Tower character and most beloved non-Dark Tower character. So, that's good stuff. So, and it's great that we're literally the day before. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So, all right, let's jump on back then and jump on into Wizard and Glass number 36. We are currently in part 3 titled Come Reap. We are in chapter 10 titled Come Reap. And then we are in subchapter 15 is where we're picking up. I think we mentioned a couple episodes ago, chapter 10 is the final one of this section, which means that after this we are moving back to the future. And then the only thing with this one, though, is a long-ass one. I want to say there was like there's 30 something subchapters, so this was not a short little 10 subchapters and we're moving on. No, this is a stout chapter.
If I remember right, you said that the two in the flashback, there's four chapters in the flashback.
10 chapters in the two middle ones, and then there's 5, I think, on the outside ones.
Okay.
So the ones where we're talking with Roland, Eddie, Susanna, Jake, those ones both have 5 chapters.
The parts I mean, the beefy ones are the end ones, right?
No. What you're flipping it? So the ones where we're back at, like, in the future, like the present, quote unquote.
Yeah.
The beginning and the end. There's 4 parts. The first and the last ones are modern day. And those ones only have 5 chapters.
Right. That's what it was.
The two middle ones have 10 chapters.
Which is the flashback parts.
So we are in our final chapter, but it is a long ass chapter, and there's a lot of subchapters in this. So, but we will be finishing it next time. Next month will be our final for part 3. Yeah.
So last time, just to recap where we were at, last time Shimi and Olive Thorn rescue Susan from the pantry in Seafront and get her on a horse and get her out of town. That's one part of the story. The other part of the story is that Roland was in the pink glass the episode before that, and Alain punched him, knocked him out, and he was still out at the end of that one. So to start the last episode, he comes around, he says, we got to go. They hop on their horses and they start riding towards Latigo and the tankers. And then while they're riding towards that, he tells them what he saw in the ball, and that's where we got the big reveal. Roland's going for the tower. That's the quest.
Yeah.
That's the big reveal. He knows that Susan is safe. He knows that Shimi followed her. And then he also revealed, because Alain and Cuthbert had no idea that Susan was taken hostage and everything.
Yeah.
So they're all worried about her. Roland's fine. He says that everything's fine. Shimi's got her covered. And so they ride towards Latigo and actually attack the tankers, setting fire to them. Alain uses the speed shooter, Cuthbert using the big bangers to set one off. And now they're in the middle of that battle. That's right where we were at, as we stopped right as that battle was, I don't want to say middle, right as that battle was starting.
Yeah.
The ambushes, they rode right past the sentry.
And we also saw Susan and Olive getting taken.
Yeah, that's where we were. That's the last part, is that then we saw Olive sends Shimi away to ride their back trail to throw off anyone following them. And then they come around a bend and run into Rhea and DePape or Reynolds. Reynolds. And then Olive pulls a gun. Reynolds is slow, but he's still able to get it off because her gun misfires, and he blows and kills Olive away. Rhea tells them to bind Susan's hands and put her in the back of the cart, and that's the last we saw of them.
Yeah.
So we're picking up here in subchapter 15 with the attack on Farson's men in Latigo. So,
indeed,
all 6 of Farson's lieutenants had been carefully described to Roland, to all 14 gunslingers in training, in fact, and he recognized the man running for the remuda at once. It was George Latigo. Roland could have shot him as he ran, but that ironically would have made their getaway cleaner than he wanted. Instead, he shot the man Latigo ran to meet. Latigo wheeled on his heels and stared at Roland with blazing hatred filling his eyes. He then ran for another man and shouted for the riders who were huddled together outside of the burning zone. 2 more tankers exploded. The plan had been for Alain to pepper the tankers and then for Cuthbert to then shoot in a steady arcing stream of big bangers lighting the spilling oil. The only big banger he actually shot seemed to confirm that the plan was feasible, but it was the last one he shot that day. The ease in which the gunslingers got inside the enemy's perimeter and the confusion which greeted their original charge could be chalked up to inexperience and exhaustion, but the placing of the tankers had been Latigo's mistake and his alone. He had drawn them tight even without thinking about it, and they blew tight. Once one began to blow, there was no way to stop the others blowing. even before Roland raised his arm to signal to break off to Alain and Cuthbert, the work was already done. Latigo's encampment was an oily inferno, and John Farson's plan for a motorized assault so much black smoke being tattered apart by the Findiano wind. Ride, Roland screamed, and they spurred west toward Eyebolt Canyon. As Roland went, he felt a single bullet drum past his left ear. It was, as far as he knew, the only shot taken at them during the whole assault. And that's the whole subchapter there.
Yeah, so we know that Alain got nicked during the Jonas
fight
stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so this is
this is even less of a fight for them so far.
Yeah, indeed. So I love that Roland could have taken Latigo, but it likely would have killed their Box Canyon plan. And likely, if that would have happened, once you sever the head of the snake, it would have just scattered everyone.
Yeah.
And Roland is pretty adamant during the planning that no one was going to survive this. So
right.
Even though I don't think there would be any real ill effect necessarily of letting anyone go, I think it just comes down to like that prideful nature of like none of these fuckers are going to survive.
Yeah,
like,
there was a line in last episode where Roland's like, they're caught stealing, they have to die. Like that's the way.
But there's
the Gilead way.
Yeah, and there's no like strategic risk of these guys getting away. It's more
if
of just
they got away, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it insults them. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that. I don't know. It's good too because like I feel like it speaks to Roland and their maturity, right, and their training. Because like children, even younger people, like young adults and stuff, tend to like be a little bit more fly by the seat of their pants, a little bit more like easy to take bait to a trap or whatever else. Like
hot-headed is the most commonly used.
Yeah, or even delusions of grandeur. Like just for Roland to have that discipline to actually like hold his fire in this case and go like, no, if I have a perfect shot on him, I could easily take him out, but that would kill the plan. So for him to have that maturity, it's like I know people that are double his age that wouldn't have that maturity. So again, good old Court and the Gilead schooling there to make sure that
the School of Gunslinger, Gunslinger Academy.
Indeed.
My note here, I get why Latigo put the tankers in tight together. It is easier to defend them than having them spaced out.
Yeah.
Like that just makes sense, right?
I mean, yeah, I said in my next note, plus this is not a world of oil like ours. So it might seem obvious to us they're simply, it maybe seem obvious to us that's actually a dumb idea, but they're just not as well versed in this. Yeah. Like this is kind of like I don't even know. It'd be like kind of like, I don't know, like oil made of whale blubber in our world. Like it's just, we don't understand it. We wouldn't, we wouldn't understand like how it was different from like gasoline or oil in terms of how it would burn or how it would react. Like, but whereas like, 150 years ago, everyone would have thought us stupid to not know all the basics of that stuff. But it's like
how to transport. There's an element, I can't remember what it was, that if it got too hot or too cold while like coming across the Atlantic Ocean from like Spain and England and France, that it would just explode, and they had to keep it like perfectly at a perfect temperature and stuff like that. Or maybe it was that it couldn't get wet or something. And I just remember hearing about all these. That's why there were so many shipwrecks.
Yeah,
is that they let it get. I can't remember what item it was. It might have been like fertilizer and stuff like that. Because
fertilizer. For sure.
Like there's like the different chemicals in there and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Nitroglycerin is. There's something. Yeah, I mean,
it might even be that. Yeah, it's just like I just remember.
But it's the stuff that we wouldn't understand necessarily because that's so far removed from our reality now.
Exactly.
And like that's kind of like their world, right? Like all this stuff like Citgo and like we've seen like a couple like Shell. We've seen some like companies that for us are like
Exxon.
Real Exxon, but for them it's almost like antique and it's stuff from antiquity.
It's even beyond antiquity. It's beyond memory.
Yeah,
it's like if we opened up an Egyptian tomb and found a liquid that if you pour water on it, it ignites.
Yeah,
but we wouldn't know that.
Yeah,
we would be like, oh, we should put a match to this. That they use it for fuel. Put a match to it. Well, it doesn't light. Well, that's weird. Why doesn't it do that? Well, here, throw it in this container with water, and boom, it explodes. It's like the people who are too stupid to understand like grease fires.
Yeah,
you don't put water on it.
Yeah,
you don't do that. You're like, yeah, exactly. It's that kind of
I mean, you can. It makes for a good show.
Boom, self barbecue.
But yeah, so from my perspective, like to us, it seems very like dumb and simple. Though, like don't put them close together. Like it's a highly volatile. Like
if one like Roland says here, if one goes, they all go.
Yeah,
they're that close together.
But I just wanted to point it out because I feel like it's easy for us to just be like, man, these guys are fucking stupid. But it's like, no, this isn't a world that they need to know that. Like this is such a like a. I mean, even early on, Roland and them didn't really clock like Sitgo as that big a deal. Because it's like no one knows how to refine this stuff, so it's just a relic of a bygone era.
Right.
It isn't until they start to uncover the rest of the plan that they start to realize like, oh shit, they know how to refine it, and like they might have like war machines. So like so it was like versus like in our world, it'd be a matter of like if like Eddie or Suzanne or anyone was here, they would see it and be like, oh my god, like this could be really dangerous. Like whatever. So I don't know. Just wanted to point that out. Like don't ever judge the characters because ultimately they're from a whole different world than
Absolutely.
we are.
And then my next note here: one shot is all that it takes to start the chain reaction. That is the textbook definition of a surprise attack.
Yeah, indeed.
Like one shot.
Have you ever smelt an oil fire, like crude oil?
No, I don't think. Oh yes, yeah. There's the refiner up here in North Salt Lake. When you drive past it to go up to Lagoon.
Yeah,
I've smelled that. That's the closest I've ever come to it. It stinks to high heaven.
Yeah. I can only imagine what this battlefield smells like.
Oh, they talk about it later in one of my subchapters later on, where it's just like their noses were like destroyed from the oil fire. So.
Yeah, and that's why I'm bringing it up because I could just imagine what the smell of this would actually smell like.
This isn't like 150 yards away or a mile away or anything. It's literally like 20 feet away, like right there. That's burning right there.
Yeah, indeed.
Next note I got is we got a little world building here that there are 14 gunslingers in training,
which seems really low.
Seems kind of low.
That's again, I go back to what I said last time, like just the stupidity of that system of like letting someone like Jonas that could have been a legit gunslinger, and it's like to just I get it, like it means you get the best, but it's like okay, that may work when we're talking about like Delta Force or like the SEALs or something, because then those people that flush out go work somewhere else in the military,
right?
But here they don't. They're being sent out of your society, and it's like you're not talking like you have a standing army, like you've literally got probably a couple hundred gunslingers would be my guess at this point. So just 14, and you're talking Gilead too. Like I don't know if we've got like gunslinger schools at like major cities throughout like the area, but certainly you'd think Gilead is like New York City. Like that's probably like the fucking hub. Like that's like
the capital.
It's like if we're talking the Navy, that's San Diego. Like or what is it?
Norfolk.
Norfolk. Yeah. Like there's those places that are like the Navy fucking.
Yeah, you got the one in the Pacific, San Diego, and Norfolk is the Atlantic one.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of what you'd expect of Gilead is like that's the fucking place. So it's like
honestly, I don't think that there is in other cities, just off of the fact that the way that they introduce themselves in this book is that there's Roland, there's Arthur of New Canaan, which is Gilead, and then the others come from outer baronies.
Yeah,
I think everyone comes into gunslinger training. There's not other schools.
Well, that makes it even worse.
I know I knew you would say that. But is my reasoning sound with that? Because that's how they introduce themselves, and they're coming into Gilead for training.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I guess again it goes back to like the Star Wars realm too, where it's like the people are taken into the Jedi Temple to Coruscant.
They're not taken. I mean, there is like other. Like the expanded universe, the games that are like
satellite temples.
Oh, there's a Jedi Academy on Tatooine in Knights of the Old Republic kind of thing. But that's still just an extension of Coruscant, just temporarily having a base there kind of thing.
Yeah. And my last note, I wonder if they had playing cards with the faces of Farson's top guys at the Gunslinger Academy there, kind of like because like there is part of me too. Again, this is a world without paper and stuff, so it's like. One, that do they have pictures of all these all of Farson's top men?
No, because it even says like the way that the line is all 6 of Farson's lieutenants had been carefully described to Roland.
Okay,
not shown to Roland, described. That's like word for word from the book. I remember typing it out.
Okay,
so it's described. So it's word of mouth. Like he has blonde hair, blue eyes. He stands about 6'5", and he's got a wicked scar over his left eye. Like that's Bob, the 3rd lieutenant. Latigo is a short guy, kind of. weird mustache and black hair. It's described. So
yeah. No, that is wild. But again, and it also shows the level that we're dealing with here too. So like, we're not just talking about like low level stuff. We're talking like his top lieutenants. Like this is when they're training everyone, and every gunslinger has been told the same thing. So it's like these are like your top. Like I said, like that's why I kind of made the joke about like back in the War on Terror and stuff. Like they had the deck of playing cards with all the top Al Qaeda folks. So it's like as dudes are sitting there playing poker in their barracks,
they're
and
just
stuff,
looking
like
at those faces constantly.
Yeah, they're going to memorize the faces and stuff. So it's like, it's so just. I think it recontextualizes everything we're dealing with. The fact that Latigo's here, like Latigo's a big fucking deal. I know we've been hearing about him almost the entire book. Like Jonas had been talking about Latigo for a while, but I don't think we necessarily got the gist of how high up we're talking with this guy.
We're talking a lieutenant, like right below him. Like if we're looking at the chain of command, it's Farson, Walter, these lieutenants.
Yeah, it's like Sherman for Grant in the Civil War. Sherman's that right hand guy underneath him and stuff. So
you're gonna be my right hand man.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, no, that's I don't know, that is cool world building too, because again, but it does show like, if we didn't already know that the world was moving on, like if this had been the first book and this is where we were starting, I think this would have maybe been one of the bigger indicators of like, oh shit, like things might be getting really bad if suddenly now we find out that we only have 14 gunslingers in the school and 3 of them are here. So you've got a good percentage of that class that is here on the outer barony areas now. So no, that it is cool world building for sure. All right, so that brings us over to subchapter 16. So we've got Latigo was in a rage, a brain bursting rage. That was probably better for him. It kept him from thinking about what the good man would do when he learned about this clusterfuck. All he cared about was catching the men who ambushed him, and he wondered how an ambush in a desert was even possible. Which, that's a relevant question.
Yeah,
because could you imagine? I mean, unless you got a graboid, it's about the only way you're going to get ambushed in a desert. Then he corrected himself. Not men, boys who had done this to him. He knew who they were. He wasn't sure how they had gotten out here, but he knew who they were, and he was going to stop them right here, east of the woods and the rising hills. So it's great how well he has built up. Stephen King has built up the good man. We've only heard a few passing mentions of his ruthlessness, similar to this, but it does a great job of showing how he treats failure. It seems like it's very Darth Vader-ish with people don't survive when you let him down. And I just think that I think Jonas was shuddering about like letting him down. A few times with Jonas, and I believe there's maybe one other person that talked about it. And now to see like Latigo, a person that probably is on a first name basis with the good man. If you're a lieutenant, right? That's that's the people you're close to. So even he is like kind of glad he's not thinking about the wrath that he's going to be calling upon himself. Like that really again builds that element of like, oh shit, like how does this guy treat failure? And we know that in the comic books, like we see someone get beheaded and that kind of stuff, but in the books
it seems like he's doing it just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. In the books though, we don't necessarily have that same kind of except for these hints that King throws us here and there. So
anything to distract yourself from the trouble that you're going to be in, right?
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And then in my note, again, going back to it, indeed, how do you get ambushed in a desert? Like, what the fuck? Like, how does that even happen?
I mean, it's happened lots of times.
I don't know, man. That's a wild
one.
Just
ask General Rommel. He used to be the expert at ambushing people.
I think he more blitzed people.
The Desert Fox.
Yeah, but I think he blitzed people. And deserts, like, maybe if you got some mountains and stuff that you can kind of hide around and stuff, and you can ambush people. But deserts, when I'm picturing desert, I'm picturing kind of the opening scene of this whole series where, you're talking just hard pan and, all you could see is the horizon across every direction. And like, that's where it's just like, you got to feel dumb where you're like, I just got ambushed in the desert.
Yep.
I also love the insult aspect of realizing he's been bested by children. That humiliation only has to add fury to the rage that's just blinding him right now. Yeah. Like, because again,
insult to injury, right? Like, not only are you getting bested, but you're getting bested by 3 punk kids.
Yeah, because we've already seen Jonas and the Coffin Hunters deal with this, and now Latigo though, like, because you think that Jonas told him anything about the boys in the sense of like they bested us at the Traveler's Rest. I would assume that's probably a secret that Jonas would have taken to the grave.
Yeah,
so I don't
it's
think
not
Latigo's
something he's
actually
gonna-
heard that.
Yeah, because do you think Latigo is going to be happy if he finds that out?
No.
He's going to be like, well, why are you getting beaten by teenagers, you fucking idiot?
And
you
Jonas would have enough pride to like just not tell that part.
Yeah.
Like he may have warned them about, there's these boys that might be trouble, but he's not gonna be like, yeah, they got the best of like me 3 times, me and my guys three different times in this
Yeah.
in this whole setup here.
Yeah, we had them locked up last night, and somehow they got away. I don't know how.
But even 3 times in the Traveler's Rest, it
That's
was
right.
like, one, it was beat, and then he gets beat, and then he gets beat. It's just the whole stacking
All 3
effect
of
there.
them, yep.
So it's just a matter of like, I don't think he's shared that. So I guess for Latigo as well, like he doesn't have the context of like knowing like who he's dealing with. He
Yeah.
just knows there's these meddlesome, pesky kids that they would have got away with it if it wasn't for these pesky kids. But he doesn't necessarily understand like their like how good they are, I guess. So yeah, I can only imagine this has got to kind of spiral him a little
Yeah.
bit. So he hysterically called Hendricks to him. Hendricks. It's just, I know it's spelled normal, but I'm so used to Jimi Hendrix that it just seems wrong. So Hendricks had at least half a dozen mounted men near him, near the herd of horses. As Hendricks rode towards him, Latigo turned the other direction and saw a group of men standing around gate mouths watching the burning tankers. Their stupid sheep faces made him feel like screaming and jumping up and down, but he refused to give in to that. And I'm sorry, I didn't take a note of this, but I just can't imagine, like, jumping up and down in anger, all I can think of is Elmer Fudd with that. Like, that just seems like something you see in a cartoon. Like, and I'm not saying that people have never done that, because they probably have.
Oh, they have.
But it's like, that just feels very cartoonish to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that also, like, I'm not saying that to say, like, to degrade what was said there. It's more of just the fact of, like, that just shows the level of rage that someone would be in to for that.
To fall down to that base, tantrum kind of mentality.
Yeah, exactly. As an adult,
Yeah.
not like a 5-year-old.
And not only an adult, a leader here, like lieutenant kind of the guy, leading men into battle and stuff like that.
Yeah. So he narrowed his concentration on the raiders. They must not escape under any circumstances. He shouted at the staring men, one of whom turned and the rest did not. He moved to them, drawing his pistol as he went. He slapped the pistol in the hand of the man who had turned to look at him. He then pointed at a random man staring at the fire and told him to shoot that fool. The man that was pointed to had the face of a man dreaming as a soldier. As the soldier raised the gun, the pistol raised it to him and executed the man. The rest turned their full attention to Latigo. He said good and took his gun back. I love that we're in Latigo's point of view, so our boys are called raiders. Like that's just I love those kind of like small elements of like point of view chapters where it's just like we know who it is, we know who they are, we know what they are, but it's like to him they're just raiders. Like I don't know, I don't know why I love that. That always just tickles me. And then King is doing a great job of writing this. I can almost hear the chaos that's polluting the area here.
Yeah,
like I just feel like there's just like the noise and like kerfuffle of a battle.
Shouts, screams, people in pain because they're catching on fire. Not to mention tankers are just randomly exploding, horses screaming.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
chaos everywhere.
Yeah. And then in the midst of all the chaos, it's wild that people are just staring at exploded tankers. I mean, I know fire can be hypnotic, but you think that if people are breaking discipline, it would be to run for safety and hide, not to just get hypnotized by fire, right?
I mean, this goes back to what we literally just talked about, is that, and even a few episodes ago, these tankers blowing up is probably the biggest fire and explosion they've ever seen. Like we were talking about, just they don't deal with oil and stuff like that, so they didn't know that. Many of them probably don't even know what's in the tankers.
Yeah,
they probably think it's water. Like, oh, we're going to get water, it's for the horses or whatever. They don't know.
Yeah,
you think about it. Do you think that they tell the privates and the peons and stuff like that what they're doing, what they're transporting? So when all of a sudden one after the other starts exploding, I mean, think about it. You drive past an accident, how many idiots sit there and rubberneck every time?
Yeah.
Even though they've seen an accident. These guys have never seen anything like this.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still weird to me because, again, the chaos of the battle is what is wild to me, because I feel like it's kind of like that. We've seen it in like ancient history and stuff where it's like, like if a leader falls or whatever, a lot of times everything just scatters because it's like that was like the thing that was holding them, the discipline. Yeah. And it's like once that's gone, like, and with all the chaos we talked about, I can't imagine you wouldn't just be wanting to run as far away from this place you possibly could. I mean,
I think it would come. It's going to come, but they have to get past the shock first. It's like the shock and awe, because like that was a that's a military tactic, right? Like,
Yeah.
you create so much shock and awe that they're just unable to fight. They're unable to run. They're paralyzed. And that's basically what's happening here, is that Roland's basically set off a shock and awe campaign against this little small band of army here.
Yeah.
And they're paralyzed. What are they supposed to do? Like, oh my God, that's exploding. Oh my God, that exploded. Look at that guy burning alive. Remember, these are boys. Jonas talked about that with Latigo, that they're young guys, they're not veterans and everything like that. This is an inexperienced military group.
Yeah.
You take a bunch of 15-year-olds and put them into that kind of situation.
Yeah. I mean, for Jonas talking, they're probably 18, 19-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Veterans, it's not your 25 to 30-something-year-olds. No, this is like kids that are, barely shaving type stuff.
The way that they described like the picket and everything like that, having like acne and stuff like that, they could have been just like 16, 17-year-olds. We don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's where I just think I want to give them a little bit of grace here with that, is that this might be the biggest explosion that 95% of these guys has ever seen.
Yeah.
And fire, some of them have never seen a fire like this. Oil fires are something different than a wood fire, a wildfire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, indeed. Baraki also said earlier, sulfur.
Yeah,
we're talking about maybe
yeah.
No, there was definitely things back in the day that they definitely had to be very careful with, because things would go boom without.
And the thing was that the one that I'm thinking about is, it's like, this is the most dangerous thing to transport, and it's like, wait, that one is? Like, because you would expect stuff like nitroglycerin and sulfur and the whale oil and stuff like that, but it was something just not that dangerous sounding. It's like,
Yeah.
Wait, that's the most dangerous thing? Like, people would like get paid extra to be on ships to transport that, and I just can't remember what it is.
Yeah. And then he also mentions there's only so many guns. So
Kill all the guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then my next note here, I guess the ruthlessness of the good man is.
Sulfur was in context of what an oil fire smells like, or refining. Sorry.
Yeah. I was still thinking about the conversation about the crazy shit, but the smell. I don't even remember where it was. I just remember being out in like a rural area, and there was like some like actual crude oil, and it was like whatever, and it was actually set on fire on purpose to like clean it up. I don't even know. It probably
sometimes it's easier just to burn it than to try and clean it up.
Yeah, and that was a smell you'll never forget. It's just such a different smell. Even the refinery up there is different, because you're talking about burning refined, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, just there's some weird. It's just a weird. I don't even know how to explain it. It's the weirdest fucking smell. It's god awful too. And then my last note before we move on here, I guess the ruthlessness of the good man is shared by his top men. That's one way to wake your people up from such a daze.
Yeah, no shit. Kill that man.
Because it would have been something else for him to just do it, but to have like one of them do it, I feel like that's just a different level of like, because that dude's not going to forget that now, and the rest of them, like, that may have been like their friends, right? That could have been Roland being ordered to shoot Cuthbert type thing. You don't know, so it's just like, I feel like that's way more effective of waking people up, and that's also more brutal, right? More than just Latigo himself coming up and icing one of them to wake them all up.
That probably wouldn't have done much, but the fact that it was one of them that did it.
Yeah, or you think that maybe Latigo just finds himself above killing for the most part.
Yeah.
He is more of a general, right? So it's like, not to say he wouldn't fight if he had to, but is he better at giving orders and letting other people get their hands dirty versus himself, unless he absolutely has to, right?
Maybe.
So going on here, Hendricks called out that he saw the enemy and he had a clear view. 2 more tankers blew and shrapnel flew in their direction. Some of the men ducked. Latigo did not so much as twitch. Neither did Hendricks. Latigo noticed Hendricks' lack of reaction and thanked God for at least one good man in this nightmare. Hendricks asked if he should go after them. Latigo said he would take Hendricks' men and go after them himself. He told him to go get all the men and find as many others as he could, and then asked if he had a bugler. Hendricks did and called the boy to him. Latigo told the boy he was with Hendricks. He then told Hendricks to get as many men as he could, but not to spend too much time doing it. He said that they were heading for that canyon, and he'd been told it was a box canyon, and if it was, they were going to turn it into a shooting gallery. Hendricks smiled and acknowledged the order. Behind them, tankers continued exploding. Also, a bugler. Like, that is, I don't know if we've ever had reference to that before in this series, have we? Like, because like there's.
I mean, this is the first time we've seen an army, a group of men, kind of thing. So
yeah, that is wild though. It also mentions it calls the bugler a boy too. So I don't know.
That's usually what they did. Is like the drummer boy in the American Revolution and Civil War were was the same thing. And then you get into like the Old West, and that's where you had the bugler for the cavalry charges, right?
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. So we have at least 2 somewhat solid people left, and then a lot of cannon fodder is what it
Yep.
kind of looks like to me. Because the fact that Latigo and Hendricks don't react to the explosion like that, I think that's like King kind of brilliantly and subtly
setting them up. Yep.
as like, these are the ones to worry about. The rest of these people are just NPCs. Like, we don't have to worry about them, but I don't know.
Perfect for a gunfight in a show, right? A lot of cannon fodder there that you want. You know?
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Also, that's the end of the subchapter.
It is.
That is, by the way.
Yeah. And then Latigo and Hendricks could be in an action movie, being able to not react to having an explosion near
They just
them.
got to walk away from it slowly.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like Latigo was doing because it blew up behind him. So
Yeah.
he's already there.
Yeah. Then the info that they're heading to the Box Canyon. We know enough about the plan to know that the boys are only being seen now because they want to be seen. All is going according to plan.
Yep.
So
Yep. And we get a little bit more of that in this next subchapter. So
got to bait the hook because
Yeah.
our boys have been very, very stealthy. So there is part of me that when I read that, I was like, oh yeah, like they're being seen on purpose.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
So I mean, I know we already know the plan, but it's like it is still one of those things. It's like if they would have wanted to like get back to the Box Canyon without being seen, they could have done it.
yeah.
So yeah, good stuff.
So subchapter 17, Roland glanced back and was astonished by the size of the smoke column rising into the air. Ahead, he could see the brush blocked entrance, and although the wind was going the wrong way, he could hear the maddening mosquito whine of the Thinny. He patted the air for Cuthbert and Alain to slow down. While they were both still looking, he took off his bandana, whipped it into a rope, and tied it around his head so it covered his ears. Better than nothing. They copied him. The gunslingers continued west. Looking back, Roland could see 2 groups of riders streaming in pursuit. Latigo was ahead of the first, but he was holding back the riders a little so the second group could catch up. Good, Roland thought. The 3 rolled towards Eyebolt in a tight line, continuing to hold their own horses in, allowing the pursuers to close the distance. So again, just what Tad was saying, like more baiting the hook.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Which, yeah,
Smart.
got to do it. You got to have some bait.
Yep. Every now and then, another thud smote the air and shivered through the ground as a remaining tanker blew. Roland couldn't believe how easy it was. Even after the battle with Jonas, these men should have been on their guard. It reminded Roland of a reap tide long ago, surely when they were no more than 7, when he and Cuthbert went running along a line of stuffy guys with sticks, knocking them over one after the other. The sound of the Thinny was warbling its way into his brain despite the bandana. It made his eyes water behind him, and he could hear the whoops and shouts of Latigo's men. It delighted him. They had counted the odds 24 against 3, and with more riding in to join them, and their peckers were up once more. Roland turned to face the entrance of Eyebolt and pointed Rusher at the slit in the brush. And that's the end of that subchapter.
Yeah. As I said earlier, this world is inherently not as used to oil and gas as we are. Roland's surprise is not really one that we would share in our world because our world has spent at least a century or more running primarily on oil. So him being shocked by the size of the smoke column kind of makes sense for this world, right? Yeah. Versus us, like, you know, I think most of us have seen videos or whatever of like large scale, like gas or oil fires, like they're
and if we
massive.
haven't seen them in person, we've seen videos of it. That's the other thing to remember is that they don't have the internet. They don't have the ability to see the Beirut explosion, you know, and other things like that.
That's chemical, though. So. I mean, there's also that one in Texas where it's like a fertilizer factory.
Fertilizer. There's also been firework ones that have gone on.
Oh, those are my favorite.
Those are houses that blow up because they're selling illegal fireworks and stuff like that. All those ones.
The one like 4 or 5 years ago where it was down in LA and they ended up finding a bunch of illegal fireworks and they put them all in a trailer and then lit it on fire.
Yeah.
And it ended up like destroying a couple of houses and stuff. And the cops got sued for it.
Yep.
It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Go put it out in the middle of nowhere. What are you doing? Like, come on. Thank God this is in the middle of nowhere.
I do love firework factory fires. Those are always fun.
Yeah, because they don't just...
they got barrels of like red, ones that are going to create red fire, blue fire.
Yep.
So it ends up being quite a show. I mean, of course, I don't have to pay for it.
Then you also have like the finished fireworks that are still shooting off.
Yeah, indeed.
So the trap is set. Smart of Roland, like we were talking about, smart of Roland to not rush into the canyon. If you give them time to regroup first, they may think twice. But by using themselves as bait, it makes it so that they don't think and just act, riding right into the trap. There's that line where Roland's like, they got their peckers up, they're kind of thing. And
yeah.
We saw that from Latigo from the very first subchapter in this section. It's just like, he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And I mean, that's the best thing to do because you need to get people worked up emotionally, right? We've seen that in all kinds of, real history
Yeah,
as
you
well
make
as movies and TV shows.
They
It's
make
like,
a mistake.
yeah, you got to get someone worked up emotional because then they can make mistakes. Like, whereas they may not if you can't allow your enemy to be like balanced. Like you got to get them off balance. And the best way to do that usually is to, rustle up some anger, rustle up some, fury, fear, whatever it is. Just get something to where emotions in the calculations there.
Yeah, there's famous ones where people have baited the other side into attacking early before they were set and ready and everything like that.
Yeah, or the
And then
honeypot thing.
And then they get decimated, yeah.
The honeypot thing.
Oh,
where
yeah,
they
you have an injured soldier.
shoot a
I'm
soldier
going
to wound
for him.
Yeah, and then just pick them off as they try to go
Yeah.
out and get them. So that's been around for, at least since World War II, but you saw it a lot in Vietnam, Korea, all that kind of
yeah.
stuff too. So it's like that's again, but then you play on the emotion, right? Because then it's a matter of like the camaraderie of like the brothers in arms. They're the ones that are now listening to their compatriots screaming in agony as his guts are poured out on the ground and stuff. So they want to get out to help the guy or whatever. So yeah, no, it's an effective thing for sure. And then my note, when they iced Jonas fairly easy, I figured the rest of this would go fairly smooth. To be in a spot that he remembered, he and Cuthbert knocking down stuffy guys is wild to me.
Yeah.
Like that's how easy this is. Like, and I do think that because like Jonas, we had basically been built up through the entire book, so the fact that he pretty much got dispelled pretty quickly, I think as a reader, even the first time, I was just like, the rest of this isn't probably going to, because I was fearful. I'm like, we know Roland survives, but we don't know about these other two. Like, we know they die at some point because we've basically been given enough from the previous books that Roland's lost everyone and stuff. So it's like, but we don't know when, like, Cuthbert or Alain die. So it's like, they could die in this story. And then, like, when they took out Jonas so easy, I'm like, nah, we're good. Cuthbert, Alain, and Roland, they're all going home. Like they're this because that would have been the guy to take one of them out, right? Because like you put so much effort into that character throughout this story.
Mhm.
You're not just gonna have Latigo just magically come in at the end after they iced Jonas easily and he's taken out Alain. Like that's just, I remember thinking that the first time just analytically. I'm like, all right, cool,
I got you.
we're good. I'm not saying other shit can't go wrong. We do have things like Susan, Shimi, we've got some other players on the board and stuff, but like our three boys, like my stressing for them ended when Jonas was taken out quite easily.
Yeah. And then this just goes into it further about how all the tankers were blowing up despite them not even setting them on fire. So it went way easier than Roland even expected. So
yeah. And yeah, I do love like again, just to go back the image of the knocking over the stuffy guys because like I think we've all knocked over like whatever it is, right?
A snowman, a scarecrow, something.
Like
a
Halloween decorations and stuff. So it's just like that is literally as easy as it fucking gets. Like even a scarecrow would be harder because those are usually put in the ground and like stuck down. So taking those down are hard, but like. Mannequin, a stuffy guy. Like
when you were a kid, did you ever run like full bore into a snowman, like you were an NFL linebacker?
Oh yeah, that's the only reason I ever built my own snowman is to destroy them.
Gah!
Yeah, did like jumping like clotheslines to take their heads off and stuff. Yeah, no, all the time. But yeah, so they cause a daisy chain effect where one explodes, sends shrapnel into another one, which then causes that one to leak, and then the heat and fire is spreading, causing them all to pop off. So
it's kind of like what we were talking about with like the fireworks displays, like the fact that they're all in close proximity like that. It's just like and to see Roland not have to plan. He didn't plan for that. It's just that's how Latigo had it, and then when they set one off, they just all started going. So Cuthbert didn't have much to do.
Yeah. And then I know I keep hounding it, but I bet Roland would have seen this coming if their world had half the oil focus we had as our world, right? Because once, like if it was one of us in that realm, we would have like looked and saw them all sitting together and would have went, oh, cool, let's just light one of these on fire and it's just gonna fucking chain react. But Roland and them, they're not gonna have as much experience with like these chemicals and like the whatever, because again I think even they probably would have had them a little bit more spaced out if they would have understood just how dangerous it was to just put them all together like that. So good stuff. And then Baraki says PepCon was in Nevada. Is that
PepCon is I looked it up because I didn't know what that was. A fire following by several explosions occurred at the Pacific Engineering and Production Company of Nevada. PepCon caused 3 deaths, two fatalities, 372 injuries, and an estimated $100 million in damages in 1988.
Okay.
I do not remember.
There's
that
a fertilizer
one.
factory video I've seen that's in Texas though.
That's
the one
the era of social media.
The one I've seen, because it's like the dad is recording it and like, yeah, it's on a phone, and then when it blows up, the kid in the back seat starts flipping out. Dad, can we get out of here? Dad, can we get out of here and stuff? So yeah,
April 17th, 2013, West Fertilizer Plant explosion in West Texas.
Yeah, no, it's that kind of shit fascinates me, man. Just because like. I mean, I guess I'm kind of like, I'm not ripping on Roland and these guys for not knowing oil because it's not their world.
Right.
But like I feel like I kind of look at that way when I look at like things like Beirut and some of these other videos I've seen over the years, because it is just like, how does like fertilizer create like that? Like, I mean, Beirut, is that still one of the largest non-nuclear explosions?
I think it's third, if I remember right, the last time I looked it up.
It's up there, man, and it's just like, you know, of course chemicals and stuff, but like are huge, and that's big.
Nope,
but like,
it is Beirut. The 2020 Beirut port explosion is considered one of the most powerful. Stupid AI, Jesus Christ.
There's probably not like a absolute like crown for it. Well, we should also say man-made or man-caused, not like natural, because let's not, you know, discredit Mother Nature and things like Pompeii and Krakatoa and some of those things.
I mean, there's those volcanoes that have gone off in human history where the explosion has gone around the earth like multiple times, 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
That travels the earth around.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, indeed. So so it's I can only imagine. And I think the thing that I wonder is how many of Latigo's men here have blown eardrums after this.
Oh, yeah.
With like the size of like explosions these would be. Like, you have to imagine some of these people's eardrums just burst, and you know, like I can't wait for Flanagan to show us maybe some blood coming out of their ears, cuz that's what would be happening. So yeah, indeed. So jumping on over to subchapter 18.
Yeah. Is that on mine? Oh, it is mine. My bad.
C.
No, wait. No, it's yours.
See, we're getting all confused here.
I'm the odd ones. You're the even ones. I was confused for a second. I'm like, wait, is it mine? He's pausing like it's supposed to be mine.
Yeah. Oh, it's because I ended up jumping ahead of you on the notes on that last section, so it made me. No.
Gotcha.
So subchapter 18. Hendricks fell in beside Latigo. He was breathing hard and his cheeks were flushed. He told Latigo he needed to report something. Latigo told him to do it. Hendricks told him that he had 20 men and maybe triple that riding hard to join them. Latigo ignored him. He smiled and addressed Hendricks by his first name, Rodney, which that is a weird name.
Rodney?
It's just for this world. Like, not saying they've always had like these weird ass names. They do have some weird names, but like, I don't know. Rodney just feels like such a pedestrian name. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it fits the world very much. I don't know. It took me out of it a smidge when I read it the first time too. I was like, Rodney. I don't know. Like Roderick, you know, like there's like names like that feel like this world, like Cuthbert. Like I feel like there's like shit that King pulls from like old-timey like literature.
Roland.
Yeah, but
then Roland's dad's name is Stephen.
Yeah, I mean that's true too, I guess. But
doesn't Alain's dad just have a basic name too?
What is it? It's yes, I'm blanking on it. What is his dad's name?
Christopher Johns.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe Rodney.
There are some basic names in this.
Maybe Rodney's an older name than I'm giving it credit for, but yeah, that definitely threw me off. And then he said that he thought they were going in, watching the boys at the canyon. Then he stated that he stated it as a surety, and then said 2 more minutes and it'll be too late for them to turn back. He drew his gun and fired it in the direction of the three boys, mostly out of exuberance. Hendricks agreed and turned and waved his hands hard to get the rest of the men to close in. So we do have quite a big group here. So he's got 20 with him, but then we've got maybe triple that. So we might be talking about 80 to 100 people that are charging up here.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a nasty scene, because again, we kind of know what the setup is here.
We know what it is.
Admiral Akbar should be in the distance right now shouting it's a trap. So took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. That's my first note. And then this reminds me of the Mongols. Their famous move was to attack a city, do damage, and then feign retreat. So the military in the city left the fortifications to chase them, thinking that they had won. But then they would ultimately fall into some kind of pincer attack and be obliterated. Psychologically, you make your prey feel like they're the hunter.
Yeah.
that's just like a
You would
that's
go
just-
in. You would go in with 200 Mongols, do some damage, turn around and flee because you know that the second that the 5,000 man army comes and attacks that 200, they're going to get wiped out. So the 5,000 see the 200 running, so they take off after them. Well, got to put them down. They wronged us, and then you come around a corner, and all of a sudden there's 10,000 Mongols,
yeah.
and your 5,000 are wiped out because they don't have the fortification. That makes it a fair fight between 5,000 behind fortification and 10,000 mounted horses.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine if they had lured Theoden and them out of Helm's Deep.
They're not that dumb. Yeah, that's exactly it.
But that gives you the idea for sure, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like that's basically was the strategy, and that's what it kind of feels like here when it comes to like make it feel like you're fleeing from them.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna kind of get that bloodlust of like, oh, we're gonna get the motherfuckers, and
Which
then,
we
like,
saw in my subchapter. They had their pecker up again, and they were like, "Bah, you get them,"
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah, love it.
And then my only note here, there's that one shot that Roland clocked a couple of subchapters ago. That's the one shot that was fired at him.
Oh yeah, indeed.
So going on to subchapter 19, Roland yelled dismount when they had reached the line of tangled brush. It smelled dry and oily like a fire waiting to happen. He didn't know if not riding their mounts into the canyon would signal to Latigo that something was up, but he didn't care. These were fine Gilead stock, and over the last months, Russia had become his friend. He would not take any of the horses into the canyon to be stuck between the fire and the Thinny. The boys were off their horses in a flash, with Alain pulling the drawstring bag from his saddle horn and slinging it over one shoulder. Cuthbert's and Alain's horses turned and ran at once. Rusher lingered. Roland said, "Go on," and slapped him on the flank. "Run." And then Rusher took off running. The three of them slipped through the opening in the brush, and Roland glanced back, saw the powder. Glancing down, saw the powder was still there, and that it was dry, not a drop of rain, since they had laid it. Roland asked Cuthbert for matches. Cuthbert said, "We warmed up their day, didn't we, Roland?" "Aye." And then he handed the matches over. Roland said they did and told him to head for the chimney cut. Cuthbert asked to start the fire since he was a firebug at heart. Roland said no and that this was his part and Cuthbert should go. He tells him to tell Alain to mind the wizard's glass. Cuthbert looked at him for a moment longer and then said, "May your luck rise," and Roland said, "May yours rise twice." Then Cuthbert turned and hurried away to Alain, who raised a hand to Roland. Roland nodded and then ducked as a bullet snapped close enough to his temple to flick his hat brim. So, stopping there, hat watch! Roland has a hat on.
I mean, I think we've kind of deemed that this isn't as big of a deal because it's in the past, and
It's just, every
so.
time we see a hat on Roland's head, we stop and notate it.
yeah.
That's the deal.
So I love that Roland is risking giving up the element of surprise in order to let his horse go, namely because he's become friends with his horse. As someone who's always lets the horse go on Red Dead Redemption 2 before certain missions, I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
After that first time, of course.
Yeah. I want to say maybe one replay actually is just like, you know what? I'm taking my horse with me. Like we should go out together.
Yeah. And then after that, you're like, never again.
Yeah. I was like, no. Especially when it's that white Arabian.
Oh, beautiful horse.
Can't let that thing go.
No.
Now I wish though, if you had let it go, if you could find it as John, that would be
amazing.
that'd be something else. Also the fact that he thinks about them as Gilead stock. Do you think this is hometown pride, or do you think that like Gilead horseflesh is more valued than Hambry?
Ooh, that's an interesting question because Hambry's known for their horses.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just hometown. Like this is Gilead. I'm Gilead. Like I wonder if it's more of that because I can't imagine that. Like again, the read I get on Gilead is it feels very like Camelot, like whatever. Like it's a big city. Like they may have some like horses or whatever, but it's not. I feel like a lot of what they're getting is probably from the outer areas. So I do, and again, Hambry. That's like that's what they're fucking expert. Like that's what they are, right? That's
here's my logic. See if it holds up for you. Gilead takes from the baronies what they want, right? So they take the best horses, they breed them.
Yeah,
they have horsemen there.
No,
that breeds that. And everything like
that's
that.
probably what it is. Yeah.
So I think that Hambry has really good horse stock, but I think Gilead is like
the one that wins the Kentucky Derby, then gets bred.
The Seabiscuit kind of shit,
yeah.
and everything like that. I think that's Gilead versus you look at it like when the Kentucky Derby was going on in like the 1920s and stuff like that. you got the ranches out here in Montana that have amazing horses and all throughout the West. They got amazing horses. They're awesome and everything like that. But they're not like the thoroughbred, top of the line ones that like Europeans come across here to buy for millions of dollars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That, it's kind of gross to say, but I just listened to a podcast episode about a horse that was kidnapped, and they estimated that the horse's value, because he was young and still had so much to give for breeding, that like the horse's sperm was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for like a gallon.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Gilead to me.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a horse, you go to a ranch in Montana, and like in Yellowstone, you go to a Yellowstone ranch and you're like, that's a fucking horse. That's a horse who's been there his entire life, wrangling cattle, riding, going up and down the mountains and stuff like that. That's one tough son of a bitch horse. But if I want a thoroughbred that also looks the part, I'm going to go to Gilead kind of thing. That's my thought process.
Because
there.
generally in Gilead, the ones they're breeding are going to be like the best of the best bred. So it's like you're kind of almost like crossbreeding the best of the best. So the ones that are actually born in Gilead might actually be the best, right?
Yeah, you take the best from Hambry, and you take the best from this barony and the best from this barony, and then you mix it all together, and that's what Roland's riding with Rusher. That's the offspring that comes out of 6 generations of breeding.
Of course, we do have to assume that people actually give their best to Gilead, or do they bamboozle them and be like, "This is our best horse." And it's like your third best, but
and they're hiding the best horses.
Hide the best ones.
I mean, we saw shit here in Hambry where they're hiding shit from them. So
and like this is obviously a terrible conspiracy, and it's whatever. But it's like, do you not think that you're not going to do the same thing in a smaller setting? I'm not giving you my like the best 2 horses. Like no, I'm gonna go hide those in the woods while the tax man comes around.
I think it might be split like 50-50, because you might have the people that are just too fucking scared to wrong Gilead, because if they do, what's going to happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then you also have the people exactly like you're thinking, exactly what's happening in Hambry, is where they're just like more selfish and like, no, you're not taking my best shit. Or maybe not even selfish, like self-preservation, like, no, I'm not giving you my best shit. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, what's a good mount for Hambry is not a good mount for Gilead. Gilead wants horses that are strong, fast, endurance, doesn't rattle
not
and stuff like that.
yeah,
exactly. Whereas Hambry horses, you're talking ranch. You want strong horses, like I was talking about, like the Montana horse, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of
because oxen
horse.
don't exist.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they do, but
no, they don't.
It's been quite
only in books.
Yeah, until now. Everyone's being slack-jawed at that. It still cracks me up.
Yeah, because you see, like, what you're talking about where you lie to Gilead and stuff like that. You see that at the welcome dinner. Because Roland tells Susan, yeah, we were told that, like, 3 out of 5 are muties. And she's like, the fuck? She's, like, offended by someone saying that. Like, how dare you say that about our livestock? You know?
And I'm not even necessarily saying like that in, like, the larger sense of a conspiracy.
Yeah.
But more like, you've got, 100 horses and you've got to give 10 of them. And it's like they tell you to give you your best 10. It's like, okay, well,
Gilead rolls up to your ranch and tells you that. But then you send your sons out to go tell my ranch and your friend's ranch and everyone else in town, Gilead's coming. Hide your best horses. Bring them over to my ranch. They've already been here.
They're tossing cells.
Yeah, exactly.
Good old Shawshank.
Yeah, you got.
But then you just so it's just kind of like a skim, right? You're just skimming the number 1 and number 2. And then the 3, 4, the rest of the way, like you give them those ones, but you're going to keep those ones. But that's still to benefit Gilead because then you keep those, breed them, and then like their offspring and stuff. So it's quite a tangent on horse flesh, but it is an interesting. It did
topic.
spark me because I'm like,
which one would be better, Hambry or Gilead?
Or again, is it just him being like prideful, Roland being prideful, like he's from Gilead, so he's just going to be like,
everything's the best.
Yeah, everything from Gilead's the best, exactly. Whereas like in this case, probably not, right?
Yeah, everyone in New York thinks that they have the best pizza and everything like that, and then they try a different kind of pizza, and they're like, "Oh, that's actually not that bad."
I don't know if that's true.
No, I know, but New York thinks they have the best sushi, and then they go try like San Francisco sushi. It's like, oh,
yeah,
oh my,
yeah, sushi. Yeah,
I can't abide. I can't abide. I like my sushi one way, cooked and made of beef.
Yeah, indeed. I've tried sushi twice, but it wasn't my thing.
I got to admit, I don't think I've really tried proper sushi. I've tried seafood, but I've never actually tried. But also, at the same time, people are like, "Oh, you should try sushi," and I'm like, I live in Utah, And in case you never noticed, that's a landlocked state.
Nah,
So-
that may have been a thing back in the 90s, but nowadays with all the technology and stuff, you're getting stuff, maybe not as fresh as living on the coast, but you're getting pretty decent stuff.
I don't know. I don't know about that, especially with raw meat. That. Ugh.
No, it's definitely different. So then no rain upsetting the gunpowder. I remember being very nervous when they thought about that back in the I don't know how many chapters ago now.
Oh, when they set the trap.
when they were
yeah.
setting it and stuff. Like I remember
Pray it doesn't rain.
yeah, rain, or then like Cuthbert asked about like wind, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, this is
What are you doing,
yeah,
dude?
it's like this is gonna fall apart,
Yeah.
man. I don't know why I'm always on alert for shit going sideways. Probably because it's a Stephen King story.
Yeah.
So
Agamorphy says sushi is only great when it's made great. So it depends on
Yeah.
who's making it.
also, did you see
His little flower bonnet here, like
I think that's more of a DePape hat, isn't it?
he'll kill you for saying that.
Well, not anymore. He's dead.
Oh, that's right. Reynolds is alive. Oh, it's the cape that he's all self-conscious about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we've been harassing him, throughout ever since, like,
it's true.
so we just got to add that would definitely be, what is that, like a sun hat, just for the people?
Yeah, like
that,
a woman's like what I picture a woman would wear in Little House on the Prairie kind of hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question I have to ask Agmorphy is that what it looked like on your screen when you picked it, or did it look like another kind of hat, but then when it changed?
Oh yeah, YouTube does that. I hate when they do.
Yeah,
that.
I've seen that before, where you put in an emoji and you think it's exactly the right thing, and then it actually, once it sends, it's like, that just changed on me.
That's not what I had. Yeah. My last note here before we go on. Of course, Cuthbert is a firebug. Is anyone raise your hand if you're shocked that Cuthbert's a firebug?
It sounds about
No,
right.
no one.
Sounds about right.
No one. Okay. So going on, Roland crouched down to the left of the opening.
Agmorphy confirmed that the emoji changed on it.
Ah.
So, it's YouTube, man. It's Google. They're-
Don't badmouth it, Tad. We saw what happened last time. Don't
Suddenly a spark comes out and zaps you.
Why would it be me? I'm telling you not to. You're the one bad mouthing it.
It's like Peacemaker. You're gonna get tortured for me not giving up the information.
I'm vigilante. Thanks. So going on here, Roland crouched down to the left of the opening in the brush and peered around the wind, striking him in the face. Latigo's men were closing rapidly, more rapidly than he had expected. If the wind blew out the matches, never mind the ifs. Hold on, wait for them, he thinks. He then hunkered with an unlit match in each hand. The drone of the Thinny was filling his head and making him dizzy. He thought of how it was inside the pink storm flying through the air, how he had been snatched away from his vision of Susan. Thank God for Shimi, he thought distantly. He'll make sure she finishes the day somewhere safe. Ooh. But the craven whine of the Thinny seemed...
Shimi's always pulled through for us.
Yeah.
We've given him his flowers quite a bit through this book, because
Yes.
like we thought he was going to be the one that broke the secret, everything else, but he has been kind of like, I think I kind of paired him up to maybe he's a twinner of Tom Cullen. Like you underestimate Tom at your own demise, and I
Yes.
think Shimi has definitely been the same way. So
Yeah.
to his credit,
I'm just going off of the last time we saw Susan.
No,
It wasn't looking good. She got
Yeah.
tied up and
It's
put
'cause-
in the
it's
back
'cause-
of Rhea's cart.
it's because they sent Shimi away.
That's true.
They would have kept Shimi there.
True.
Would have gone okay.
He's
He's a good luck charm.
Yeah, basically. But the craven whine of the Thinny seemed somehow to mock him. Now Latigo and his men were crossing the last 300 yards to the canyon's mouth. They were riding fast, so it would be tough for the ones in front to suddenly stop and not be run down by the ones in the back. It was time. Roland struck one match between his front teeth and raked it forward. He felt the touch of one hot spark on his tongue, and then he touched it to the powder. It lit it once, and he lunged across the opening and lit the second and dropped it into the powder there, and then turned and ran.
You ever lit a match with your teeth?
No, I'm not putting fire in my mouth.
I've done
thank
it once, successfully. I've tried it many, many times. When I was a child playing with matches quite a bit.
you. Of course. Why am I not surprised that Tad played with matches?
There was one time I was able to get it to work with my teeth, but that was pretty hard. The one that was the go-to for me was the jean button.
I always did it off the zipper.
No, I just did the button. That was my go-to. But yeah, no, I did a lot of experiments.
I was a Boy Scout. The only time that I was really ever using matches was to start a fire, and I just would use, the strip on the side of the box.
Well, me too. I was only using them to set fires as well, but I wasn't the Boy Scouts.
Tad, were you an arsonist when you were little?
No, it was controlled fires. Burning ants and stuff, that kind of thing too.
Hmm.
The magnifying
glass.
glasses, that's too boring. Let me
Hairspray and lighter.
Oh,
and
100%.
shit.
Yeah,
God
absolutely.
damn.
Absolutely. That was my favorite. Bic lighters and stuff too. Yeah, I had all kinds of fun.
I did that once. I got my sister's hairspray and I got a lighter and I went out and there was an anthill in front of my house, concrete all around me, and I was out there lighting them on fire. My neighbor got pissed. What are you doing, torturing those little bugs? And I'm just like, they're ants. Like,
Yeah.
all
It's
right.
it's funny.
It's not like I'm setting a cat on fire or anything. Jesus.
Somehow my my algorithm in the last little bit has gotten started to think suddenly I like bearded dragons. And so there's a
Okay.
bunch of videos of people feeding like, Dubai roaches and like all kinds of different like bugs to like their bearded dragons.
Yeah.
And they're alive and they're just sitting there like kicking, moving around. The dragon will come over and just grab it and just start chomping it up and stuff. And I'm
Yep.
like, that needs to be a Pixar movie. It's just all about this family of bugs, but they don't realize that
God.
they're like in a pet store and they're just going to be grabbed and fed to some sort of
Good
creature.
Lord, Tad.
It'd be a great Pixar movie.
I mean, Pixar does like ripping hearts out of children.
Yeah,
So.
so see like the baby get taken and then thrown into like a tarantula cage and then it comes with she-lobs.
Yum.
Yeah, so
Baraki says Peter a scout is surprising. Yeah. Why? Why is that surprising? I'm the good one.
I mean, I don't know.
Peter giving Tad the side look. Yeah, no kidding. He's over here like, yeah, I'm playing with matches and setting stuff on fire.
You made your own fireworks at times, right?
No.
Like, I mean, taking different fireworks apart and putting things together.
Nope.
Really?
No.
Man,
No, sir.
that's wild.
Nope.
One of my favorites that took the longest for me was I took the little snaps that you got
Oh
for
my
free.
God.
I spent the entirety of July gathering them up, getting every free pack I got. And then I spent probably like an entire weekend unraveling them and gathering up the innards.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up getting something that was damn near the size of halfway between a golf ball and a baseball by the time I was done. This took me legitimately like
A
probably no, it was like over the course of a weekend, but it was probably like
Oh.
6 or 7 hours per day. And by the time I got it, yeah, it was like the size of like, I don't even know what's between, like a peach or something maybe.
Yeah.
And like rolled that up in a piece of newspaper, and then it was like a 357 going off.
That's why when I try to talk to Tad, sometimes he doesn't hear me.
Yeah, luckily there wasn't like the craziness of like people calling the cops thinking there was an active shooter or anything crazy back in the day. They were just like,
Yeah.
people were just like, oh, what was that? I don't know. Well, it was also
Car backfire.
It was
Yeah.
also July though too, so
That's always the
there's that.
question. Car backfire, gunshot, or firework going off when it's July in Utah?
Yeah, exactly. The good one.
Yeah. I am. I'm not evil like him.
Who says I'm evil, sir?
Everyone says you're evil.
Yeah,
Agamorphy says it doesn't surprise him.
yeah. I never had time for scouts. I had more fun things to play with.
like ants,
Fireworks.
and fire,
Yes,
fireworks, and
exactly.
such.
Exactly. Indeed. But yeah, sorry. So let's go jump back in. So the note on my notes here, the Thinny is bad under normal circumstances. But when the stakes are this high, it has to be especially dangerous. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like that noise is what I'm talking about. We know that the Thinny is dangerous, but that's not what I was actually
Right.
getting at. I think it's just the idea of like that noise. Like we've already seen it with our characters in the present day. We've seen it with the boys earlier in the story, and it's like and again, not even the hypnotic part of it, but just that, like the aggravation of that noise.
Mhm.
But like, imagine that now in the midst of a fucking battle, in the heat of battle, like just adding that element of like,
Yeah, they got hundreds of guys chasing them.
yeah. And then the men themselves, when we get to it and stuff, I just feel like that's something that's going to like, that's like a variable on a battlefield you're not really ready for, really.
Right.
Like, it's like, in modern history, there's been some tortures where, on a battlefield, they'll like play like god awful music of some kind, like to like,
Keep them from sleeping and stuff.
keep
like
them
that
from
is
sleeping,
a-
but also
is a big
just
one.
this throw off,
Disorient them and-
yeah, and it's just like I feel like that's like kind of what we'd be seeing with the Thinny, because like it's just such a horrible fucking sound. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if that like that Home Improvement episode where the lady plays the saw
the
blade.
saw.
And it's just
Sounds
almost,
Hawaiian, doesn't
it's,
it?
God, it's the worst. And then Brocky mentions the fire incoming, but yeah, we haven't got there yet. But yes, we know that's about that's going to be popping off here.
Yeah.
And then my other note, Roland is acting like Jonas and seeing his thoughts being stolen by the ball.
Yeah.
His
Right
thoughts
here
are
in a critical moment, he's
his
thinking
thoughts are
about-
drifting, just like because
Yep.
we were reveling in that with Jonas. Right? Hell yeah, we're getting some weakness from Jonas, but now we're seeing the same exact thing flipping on Roland now. So
Oh, no.
that's not good.
Yeah,
That's not good.
yeah. His thoughts of Susan is not what I was. We kind of mentioned it when I read it. It's like, oh man, that's not good.
Yeah.
That is not good.
All I'm saying, we wouldn't be where we're at right now if he would have just left Ermont alone.
No,
Rhea would be up there, having fun times with Ermont and be
no, she would have been with the ball. She would have Ermont with her. Is all that would be different. That is all that would be different.
I do have to mention there was somebody on Reddit that posted the whole thing about there's things that Ermont can do for a woman that no man could.
No, you don't need to. No.
The person posted that and they're like, is she having sex with the snake? And I rolled in laughter for like 20 minutes.
I'm honestly surprised you didn't send it in like the Discord or to me or something.
I actually did screen grab it now that you mentioned it. I forgot about
You were holding on to it.
Yeah, indeed.
See, hashtag Tad is terrible.
Oh,
Not too far, Tad.
So that makes sense in a cavalry charge, that if riding like the Hounds of Hell are chasing them, that there's no recourse. You'll be destroyed if you're by your own side if you slow down, stop, or even fall off.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if I've ever really thought about that until reading this book, but like then you go back and watch like, the charge at Pelennor Field and stuff in Lord of the Rings, and it's just like, yeah, what happens if your horse like hits a gopher hole and breaks its leg? Like, you and that horse are fucked and
Yep,
dead.
you're done.
Like,
You're done.
You're alive for a couple seconds to realize like, oh shit, I'm
Yep.
falling down, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, look at that,
Look at that. 3 horses bearing down on me. Wham, wham, wham.
Oh man,
Yep.
yeah, and yeah, because like that's just something that's been lost in time, because most of the other stuff that like replaced horses, like jeeps and tanks and stuff like that, like. Yeah, I mean, for tanks and stuff, they just don't move that fast, so you don't have that
Right.
big a danger. And then, like, Jeeps, like, they weren't being charged on the field and stuff, so we largely lost that whole danger in the battlefield of, like, just
Well, we
being, like,
lost the-
run down by...
Yeah, we also lost the element of doing lines of horses, because like you would cavalry charge, there would be 4 lines of men riding and everything like that. We got more to the multiple people in one car kind of thing, so you start going single file.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah,
So-
and on roads. And it's usually
Yeah.
more like logistics more so than it is like part of the battle
Yeah.
and stuff. I always love the pukey face agomorphia. I
yeah.
always feel accomplished when I can get one of those. And then Brocky says, yeah, you and the 3 or 4 behind you are dead. Because then that too, because then it could actually cause like a cascading effect
where
where
they go down.
they're going to go down and stuff. So yeah, that could...
I think you even see that at the Battle of Pelennor Fields a couple times, where it's just like one goes
when
down
the
and it
arrows
causes-
start going in, yeah.
You see others behind them go
When,
down.
yeah,
with
when the
them.
orcs shoot the arrows and it
Yeah.
comes down and hit. Yeah, you definitely do see that. So
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
Last note here before we jump into subchapter 20. The trap is lit. Here we go.
Yep, indeed. I just want to get the Mission Impossible. All right, subchapter 20. Roland was slapped by a deep and unexpected memory of his parents at Lake Saroni, which is just Sauron with an I, by the way. Don't think I didn't notice that. Because we know that King's a Tolkien fan, so I'm like,
Yes.
I kind of expect that might have actually been on purpose.
Could be.
So, Sauron with an I, which an I as well.
Ah. I see what he did there.
I'm on to you, King. When had they gone to the beautiful Lake Saroni in the northern part of Gilead Barony? He could not remember. All he could remember is that he had been very small, and there was a beautiful stretch of sandy beach for him to play on, a perfect beach for an aspiring castle builder like him, which that's a sight. We don't know how young Roland is. He can't even remember. But being a castle builder, like,
Yeah.
I think that's a universal thing, right? Anyone that's ever been to a beach is
You build a sandcastle.
built in the sandcastle. But again, that's such a weird thing for Roland. Like,
Yeah.
this whole book has been very much like flipping Roland on his head for us, because it's just like we've known Roland one way, and suddenly now it's just like, wait, Roland was a child?
Yeah.
He built sandcastles? Like,
Wait, he didn't come out all scruffy and stoic and mean.
yeah, exactly. It's like the guy that voices Rex. Like, I feel like he was just born that way.
Yeah.
In Toy Story.
Yeah.
I just feel like that guy was just born looking like that.
Yeah.
So, although a lot of babies do look like old people.
That's true.
So,
This is true.
that is what he had been doing on the one day of their and it kind of cuts off vacation. Is that what it was? Did his parents want to take a vacation? And then it kind of comes out of that thought and just says trip. So doing on that day of their trip. Also another pause. Vacation, like
Yeah.
Again, Roland on a vacation, like,
Ugh.
do you think it's like the Griswolds? Do you think things went wrong on their way and stuff, like
No.
the National Lampoons?
No.
And then and he had looked up. The cries of the birds had made him look up and see his mother and father at the edge of the water, their backs to him, and their arms around each other's waist. His heart had filled with love for them. He pondered how infinite was love, braided with hope and memory. It was so much the bright tower of every human's life and soul. That's a very poetic
Yeah.
chunk of text there. So
All for it to flash through his head right after he lit the trap.
yeah, exactly. Brocky says, "I'll turn this wagon around." And then Agamorphy says Flanagan will definitely show that.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot in this episode where I'm like, I cannot wait to see this.
I know.
On screen. I cannot wait to see this, and I'm so glad it's Flanagan too, because with his horror background, we know he's not going to pull any punches when it comes
He
to
better
gore,
not.
when
Yeah.
it comes to like anything else. Like whereas like Glenn Mazzara, some of these other people that have tried over the years, it's like like if Ron Howard way back in the day, even before the era of this show, like Ron Howard never would have made this story as gooey and squishy
No.
as Mike Flanagan's going to make it. So definitely happy to see what's going.
Yeah.
What's coming from Flanagan. So then this is a sharp juxtaposition after how the last subchapter ended. Also a very unique look at what things were like before the dark times.
Yeah.
Because like not even just like the world moving on, which we know is happening, but like the aspect of like we've not seen his parents act in any sort of way like they actually have ever loved each other.
Yeah.
Like up to this point, I feel like the comp that I could pull up, which came after for me, but like Game of Thrones, like Cersei and Robert, like that's the way I felt like with Stephen and Gabrielle this entire time. So to actually see like them like being loving and
yeah,
like
she has her own apartment and lives away from them. And then there's that scene at the festival where Walter and her dance, and it's like awkward that the gunslingers don't applaud, and it's just like nothing looks good. So that to see this is like the happy time before that, like you're talking about, it's just
it's so
whoa.
it's so weird, and this is very strange to see from Roland. I know this is not current day Roland, but damn, again, child, like just building sandcastles, like happy family vacation, like this just it's hard. If they had thrown this at the beginning of this book, if Stephen King had put this at the beginning of this book, I don't even know if I would have been able to digest it.
Yeah.
Like now we've at least had like most of the book to actually get to know like young Roland enough to where now it doesn't feel like it's far of a leap to go from 14-year-old Roland, with his lovesick and everything else, to then jump back to this. But if we had just jumped from like tall Roland to this, like
to the memory, it would just be like, oh,
it would have been like, what the fuck are we doing here? Also, I never would have pictured a gunslinger taking a family vacation.
Yeah, my note just goes on top of that. I can't wrap my head around Stephen and Roland laying around on a beach. Even kid Roland, just like with all the stuff that he goes through for like his training and stuff like that. I still just can't picture even like the building sandcastles and laying on the beach and playing and stuff like that. Just like, no, that's not allowed,
But here's the other thing, and it made me think is like, so with Susan, then it's like, okay, so there's nothing that says that he has to like leave the gunslinger life to be with Susan. We know we kind of talked about that. He had that thought earlier on. He was debating that before the ball.
That's what he thought he would do.
So, but it's like, so those things aren't mutually exclusive though. You can have a wife and kids.
They're not Jedi. They can have wives and kids.
So it's just kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, it's, I don't know, that a family vacation too. It's like, because even if you have a family, I just feel like it almost feels more like, being a soldier and having like the wife that lives on base type thing. And it's just like, you're still defined by your career in a lot of ways. So it's just like to take a family vacation is just like,
I mean, even they take, trips to Disneyland and stuff like that still. So
yeah, but they also don't cast the soldiers away if they wash out of whatever training. So I don't know.
I mean, to an extent, that's one thing that we got to talk about is that to an extent they still do. It's just not if they try for a special program, they're cast out as well. Like your Navy SEAL example that you gave earlier. But there is plenty of things that does cause people to wash out of the the military and stuff like that. So they're just a little bit more choosy, is all.
Yeah, indeed. It's just weird. This is a weird one to get your head around. And then
Brock asks, what age do gunslingers begin their training? Do we know? I feel like it's about 7.
Yeah, I think we've kind of speculated on that during the course of this book club, but I don't think it's ever defined. But I think I've always kind of got in my head where it's probably like 4 or 5, about the time that like the kid can kind of walk and at least like start to think a little bit. Now, do I think that we're getting like Court beating the fuck out of them when they're 5 or 6 years old? Probably not. But I do think that there's like training, and then like it starts to harden as the kid gets older and gets harder and harder. And by the time we pop into like Roland with his flashbacks with Court and stuff, I feel like by that point, like you're in full on like, full boot camp mode. But I don't know if there's anything in the text that ever really overtly states that. I think we've always just kind of assumed that like mom and the wet nurses and stuff have them up until a certain point, and then they're handed off to like the courts to start making them gunslingers. So, but that's all speculation. I don't know that there's anything textual that we've ever run across that tells us necessarily.
According to the Dark Tower wiki, I'm trying to read through to make sure that I'm not gonna say anything that I'm not supposed to.
If you do, I have a crow that it's just waiting to take
rigorously trained from the age of 6.
So yeah, like I said, because I think I was just pegging 6 as the age, because like that's like kindergarten age, right? So 5 or 6 is kindergarten. So it's like that's kind of why I put it at that age, because like in our society, that's about when you're kind of letting your kid out of the house. You're letting him kind of start to learn and stuff. And I would imagine in this world it'd be the same thing in terms of like, go ahead and let them start training. But again, I guess I envision, and now I'm not saying there wouldn't be corporal punishment for a 5-year-old child that's in gunslinger school, but I don't necessarily think that you're like getting beaten as silly as like Cuthbert probably had throughout certain chunks of his life. So let's see. Yeah, and then Brocky does mention Gabrielle Deschain calls Court the beater of boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, I'm not saying like I think they're babied necessarily, but I do think that the abuse will get stouter as they get older. So
yeah.
Well, I guess unless they get smarter, which we know that Cuthbert never did. Cuthbert stayed Cuthbert. So, because we talked about that too. I'm sure that Cuthbert's probably the most beaten child out of that 14, right?
He's gotta be, right?
He has to be. So going on here, it was not love that he felt now. It was terror. The figures before him were not his parents, but Cuthbert and Alain, and they were running towards the end of the canyon. They were clasping hands like children in a fairy tale. They were lost in a forest. They were headed for the Thinny. He screamed at them to stop for their father's sake. They did not stop. They kept walking hand in hand towards the edge of the Thinny, and it was whispering its endearments, promises, and rewards to them. There was no time to reach them, so he did the only thing he could think of and shot a round above their heads. The round was a hammer blow in the canyon's enclosure, and I didn't necessarily take note of it, but man, you can only imagine, like we've seen that in movies and stuff where like if you're shooting in like a canyon, like the reverberation of the sound and shit, like it's almost like shooting in like an enclosed environment.
I actually have shot in a little bit of a canyon with my uncle and my dad. We went up to a place that my uncle owned, and there was a little bit of a, like, not a deep canyon, but it was 50, 60 feet high walls and solid rock. And then there was a spot where my uncle would sighted rifles and target practice and stuff like that. And I just remember one time I didn't have my ear protection on, and my dad let loose with a rifle shot, and I was like, holy shit, that's loud.
Yeah.
Because I've been at shooting ranges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not as loud when it's out in the open, but man, when you get in that canyon, it's like triple that. And then it also like echoes too.
Yeah, echoes around and stuff. Yeah. So for a moment, the whine of the ricochet was louder than the Thinny. The two stopped only inches from the shimmer. Roland expected it to reach out and grab them, as it had grabbed that low-flying bird when they were first here that night of the Peddler's Moon.
Ugh.
That's a fun thought. Just that hand thing coming out and grabbing that bird, plucking it out of the air. As long as it wasn't a crow. So yeah, damn, that is intense. My first note. Also can't wait to see this on screen. Just in terms of like, I feel like with the whole Haunting of Hill House and everything else that Flanagan's done, I have a feeling that the Thinny's going to be something he's going to do very good at. And I think this is going to feel like a horror movie every time we're near the Thinny.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Very unsettling. I cannot wait to hear the sound that he chooses.
The sound. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I can't wait to see like the hands, grasping out and grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
Also a great reminder of the Thinny reaching out and grabbing the bird that first time they saw it. If King had not reminded me of it, I'm not sure I would have shared Roland's fear here. I bet Flanagan either shows another bird getting grabbed here, or he just moves the entire experience here so it's fresh in viewer's mind.
Yeah.
So it's not like episode 1 or 2, and then we're all the way here to episode 8 or 9 before you actually get back to like whatever.
Yeah.
People could forget. We have a very short attention span here.
It's true.
What was I saying?
Yeah. Huh?
So yeah, I have to imagine that he'll probably show us that. And I just can't wait. All the ghastly things that he's done with like spooky ghost shit. Like,
Yep.
I bet you this Thinny is going to be a fucking scary ass encounter.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely. So it just makes you wonder why I didn't grab them. Maybe it's kind of, like asleep or something like that. And it's starting to wake up.
yeah, could be. Or it just thinks they're coming in anyway.
Yeah.
Like, the bird, like
I
the
got it.
bird's not going to come down and land in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like when you have that fish on the hook and it's like you're just about to pull it up out of the water. Like then it breaks, right? Like, but it's like
Yeah.
by that point you're so like, I've got this,
Yeah.
that you're not maybe paying as much attention. So maybe it has confidence that I still have my meal here.
Could be.
So now, is it a meal? Is it eating people?
I would say yes off of something in my next subchapter.
With the bird and stuff, that's where it feels like feeding, right? Like grabbing that bird out of the sky and stuff.
Yeah.
I know you love man-eating things.
No.
I know you're a big fan.
Nope.
So
No. That's a no for me.
graboids and,
No.
and beasts, lions and whatnot.
Nope.
So he triggered 2 more shots in the air. The reports hit the walls of the canyon and thundered back at them. He cried, gunslingers, to me, shouting. Alain was the first to turn towards Roland. His eyes seemed to float. Cuthbert took another step forward, the tips of his boots entering the Thinny. The whining of the Thinny rose half a note as if in anticipation. So there's a thought for you on feeding.
Mm-hmm.
So if it starts to like change its again, Flanagan's gonna fucking kill this.
Yeah.
Alain yanked him back by the strings of his sombrero. Bert tripped over a chunk of rock and landed hard. When he looked up, his eyes were clear. He cursed and got to his feet, and Roland saw the toes of his boots were gone, cut clean away as if by gardening shears. His big toe stuck out. Alain cried, "They're almost gone," and said that it talked. Roland said yes, he had heard it, and told them to come on. They had no time. He led them to the notch in the canyon wall, praying they had time to get up quick enough not to get shot, which they would if Latigo got there before they got up far enough. They began to smell the smoke. Roland said Cuthbert first, then Alain, and he would go up. He told them to climb for their lives. So yeah, just intense. I mean, I'm trying to remember. So was Cuthbert and Alain not there when Roland?
No, they were.
I thought
they
so.
got hypnotized. They started walking towards the edge.
So how is it a revelation for him that it's like talking? I guess like that. It seems.
I don't think that it to Alain. I may not have talked, but it talked to Roland. So that's maybe they didn't cover that, or maybe Alain.
No, it hypnotized him worst of all because we talked about maybe it's the touch.
The touch that
opened him up.
That, yeah.
So maybe he just wasn't hearing
maybe
a voice.
He wasn't hearing a voice.
It was just hypnotic.
He was instantly under, but he was a little bit more protected this time. So then it started talking.
Yeah.
To get to that next level.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense because that tripped me up a little bit. I was like, wait a minute, like. Yeah, then as we talked about it here, I was like forgetting. I was like, was it just Roland and Susan that went to it? But then, then you mentioned it was them, and then you mentioned Alain. I'm like, oh no, because Alain was the one that really got grabbed. And because we speculated it's probably the touch, like him having that psychic.
Yeah.
That psychic ability is probably going to open him up even more so to these kind of things. So, and then my note here, goddamn, I worried about Cuthbert there the first time reading this.
Yeah.
That kind of scared the shit out of me a little
Yeah,
bit.
it gets all the way past Jonas, like you were saying, like he's safe. That's the big threat is Jonas and everything like that, just to get eaten by a goo.
Yeah. Some sort of like cloudy goo.
Yeah, exactly. And then my note here, see, it seems like it's waking up now, like the pitch rising and stuff like that. Like it was just kind of like subconsciously, like, yeah, come guys, yeah, come. Wait, they stopped. What's going on? Where's my food? Kind of like seems like it's kind of waking up, reaching out a little bit, kind of thing.
Yeah. I can't wait. This is gonna be good.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like I just feel like it could be as scary as the dumbwaiter in Hill House.
Ooh, yeah.
That's why, and I know that's way more of a direct. Like threat and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of like direct, but this is gonna be like a weird mixture of like maybe even the Red Room and stuff where it's just like something very threatening, but in a weird, ambiguous way.
The Blob is what gives me like the vibes of, kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you actually picture it more like actually like solid and like gooey?
No,
because I always picture it more like a cloud and stuff. Like,
it's always it's described as a liquid with haze over like steam over the top of it. So
and I do
picture it that. So I picture like the Blob, but a little bit more like melted.
Yeah, and I always picture it like it's all mostly just cloud, but like the wateriness that it talks about is more of just like how it moves, like how the clouds and stuff, like it moves like very watery. Because that would be very surreal if you actually saw like something that would essentially look like smoke, but it's like moving like water.
Oh,
That'd be a good horror movie actually. Like
The fog?
because it would
Yeah.
just be so unnatural. No, because like to have like some sort of fog, but it's like very like moving like water or something. Like because
Yeah.
I don't know why, because it's just unsettling. It's like the Uncanny Valley, I think, where it's just like I know how
That
smoke and
should be smoke, but it's acting like
it's-
water.
Yeah, that would just be like that's wrong. There's
Yeah.
something about that's wrong. So, yeah. And then the other two boys learned at the worst time that the Thinny has a voice. This is probably about the worst possible time to be learning that. But yeah. And I don't think we ever got enough to know like that they didn't hear a voice when they were there. I know we saw him get hypnotized, but
I think they just didn't want to talk about it, and they just wanted to get the fuck out of there, so they just didn't talk about it.
yeah, so they didn't talk about it enough for us
go
to
into
know
details and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like a revelation of that scene, the fact that those two didn't actually hear any voices from it. Only Roland did. So and then I've never thought about it, but losing the toes of his boots and now having to climb up this notch, that's got to make it way harder than it otherwise would have been.
I think that may be the reason why Roland sends Cuthbert
Him up for
first.
100%.
You
Yeah.
send up the slowest, and that's
Yeah.
the pace you set.
And I don't think I've ever like fully thought about that until doing the book club here in terms of like how hard that would actually make it to climb up, which
Yeah.
then it does make sense why he ends up sending him up first. Like I think every other time I wouldn't have locked in enough to
Yep.
like lock onto that to understand like the reasoning. I would have just been like, oh, he's just sending him up because whatever, maybe it's because he was closest and
Yeah.
like keep him the furthest away from it because
He's the most affected.
You damn near just got eaten by it. So yeah, no, so that's can you imagine? Because like also I'm glad he had his toes curled or he would have lost the tip of his big toe there.
Yeah.
So I also can't wait to see
Owie.
that. I also can't wait to see that. Now, do you think that his toe is unharmed with Flanagan? Or do you think that a little bit of
a little degloving.
maybe not degloving, but maybe a little bit of a slice of the tip of the toe?
Well, let's go through this next subchapter before we talk about what kind of wounds this thing inflicts on people.
Well, I'm just saying that,
So-
like, because with here in the book, it just seems like it missed the toe. Maybe he had his toes curled enough
Yeah.
to whatever. But it's like, do you think with Flanagan, though, that just so happens the toe is out a little bit and maybe even see a little bit of bone poking out there or something?
Well, it's we'll talk in a second. You misunderstand what I'm saying, so just give me a second to clarify because I want to get through this subchapter before we talk about that.
it's Flanagan. You know there's going to be more blood than even Stephen King.
No, and I agree with you. It's
Which
just,
makes me think about what Carrie's going to bring.
oh, yeah.
Is he going to do more blood than King did?
Good lord. So going into subchapter 21, Latigo and his men poured through the hole in the brush like water through a funnel. The bottom layer of the dead vegetation was already on fire. The smoke went unnoticed. Their sense of smell degraded by the colossal stench of the burning oil, what Tad was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Latigo himself in the lead with Hendricks close behind him had only one thought: Box Canyon! And it's repeated like several times in the book. Yet something began to intrude on this mantra as he galloped deeper into Eyebolt. His horse's hoofs clattered nimbly through the scree of rocks, and then this is where the book does that thing where it's like, this isn't his thought, but it's telling us it. So it's on a separate line and it's in parentheses. And it says bones. And then it says on the next line, whitish piles of cow skulls and rib cages. There was a kind of low buzzing, a maddening, slobbering whine, insectile and insistent. It made his eyes water. Yet as strong as that sound was, if it was the sound, it almost seemed like it was coming from inside of him. He pushed it aside, holding onto his mantra, Box Canyon, Box Canyon. He would have to face Walter when this was over, perhaps Farson himself. He had no idea what his punishment would be for losing the tankers, but that was for later. Now all he wanted to do was kill these bastards.
Yeah, indeed. Also, I'm sorry, Baraki mentions bumblers.
No, we're not going there. No.
We've seen a bumbler in this story, right? In this book, wasn't there something like a bumbler maybe getting eaten by something? Was it?
It was mentioned. A bumbler was mentioned, but it wasn't eaten.
I thought we saw one get. Or maybe we saw bumbler bones earlier in the book. I think Roland maybe sees it and see like it's a bumbler, maybe a dog or something when he's looking through the bones when they're. Because this isn't the first time we've seen the bones at the Thinny.
Well, they don't go down by the Thinny; they're up above it when they count.
No, I know, but
so.
I think he could spot him though. Where he's
Maybe.
like seeing. And
I
he's
don't
like,
remember that.
Yeah. I don't know why that I have a memory of it. So I've never considered them not smelling the fire that had been started, but yeah, that would it would be easy to be nose blind by the smell of burning oil by now.
Like we talked about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, like that is such a fucking just a strong, overpowering odor that yeah, I could easily see you're not going to smell like the very beginnings of a fire. So, because I've never thought about that. Because if I would have actually thought like, yeah, that's kind of a plot hole. How do they not smell it as they were like riding right by it? But I'm glad I noticed it here when we're going through a little bit slower.
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself that Eddie and Susanna thinking that Thinny sounded like the guy playing a saw blade, like a violin. That's such a high pitched, whiny sound. I can only imagine how fucking terrible the Thinny actually sounds.
Don't forget Jake.
And I can't imagine that. Well, it was only the two that knew the same guy, right?
All three.
I thought it was just the two that
if
knew
it was the two, it was Susanna, and Jake, because Jake got really excited about it.
Oh, that's because they are
actually
actually closer. No, so Eddie didn't, because I think he was gone by the time Eddie. Because Eddie's fast forwarding he's back in the 80s versus the 60s and 70s. So yeah, I think it was. You're right. It was those two though. I'm just giving Eddie credit because he's older technically, but I mean, in reality he's older, but in technicality he's actually younger than all of them.
It's so weird.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. So I cannot wait to see what the Flanagan's sound designer is able to come up with here for the Thinny, because I think it should grate on the audience. Like I should make it uncomfortable, make it to where you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, my wife and I watched The Witch for the first time, and there was a couple times where the music in that got to both of us. We're like, okay, that's a little loud. Like come on, cut off at any point now, and everything. So,
good stuff.
Yeah. I've never really given it much thought on how badly Latigo would be punished by Farson for the loss of the tankers. We've heard a little of how mad Farson is. This definitely just would not be fun. We did mention that earlier, but
yeah,
here he's like bringing it up again. Like, I'm going to have to face Walter and probably Farson himself. Like,
yeah.
That's not a happy thought to be thinking about. You have to go before him and be like, yeah, I lost all the tankers. They got blown up, but I mean,
you don't go back, right? Even if you're a lieutenant, you're not going back.
I mean,
with the reputation Farson has,
we've seen what happens when people mess up and screw up in other King iterations, and
you screwed up.
He was even thinking like, "Okay, time to go. Maybe Mexico's nice this time of
Brazil.
year."
Yeah, exactly. That's I'm like, what's Brazil for Midworld? Let's just get as far away as possible.
Yeah,
just in case Farson wins here, because
Toll. He's like, okay, time to get out of here. I'm going to Toll.
Yeah.
And then my last note here: never a great idea to hide into a place covered in animal bones.
Could be fun.
No. So going on up ahead, the canyon took a jog to the north, and the boys would be beyond that. Probably not far, and taking cover behind whatever rocks they could. Latigo would mass his guns and dry them out with ricochets. They would probably come out with hands up, hoping for mercy. They would get none after all the trouble that they had caused.
Even if the boys got stuck, do you think that's a reality? They'd actually come out
no,
like
but
surrendering?
Latigo doesn't know.
No, I know,
that.
but like from our perspective, like even if there wasn't a trap and they'd actually were just dumb kids and they actually got
especially since we've heard about Jericho Hill.
They're going to go down shooting. Yes. So like it's just sorry, I can't help but laugh at that.
I know that wishful thinking almost.
But I'm not judging even Latigo because he doesn't know the characters like we do. So like it's maybe a realistic thought from him, but I can't help but laugh at
if it's 3 against 6 dozen
60, right? Because there's 20 and I have at least triple more, so we got at least 80 or wait. Triple more and then so 80. We have 80, probably 80 something people
at
coming
least.
Up. Yeah,
there could be more. Yeah. So Latigo rode around the jog in the canyon's wall already, leveling his pistol. Then his horse screamed like a woman and reared beneath him. Latigo caught the saddle horn and managed to stay up, but the horse's rear hoof slid sideways in the scree and the animal went down. Latigo threw himself clear, aware the buzzing sound was 10 times stronger now. The buzzing was loud enough to make his eyes pulse in their sockets and make his balls tingle unpleasantly. Loud enough for him to make him forget his mantra, which had been beating so incessantly inside his head. Horses flashed around him as he landed in a kind of sprawling squat. Horses that were shoved forward by the oncoming press from behind, by riders squeezing through the gap and spreading out once they got past the bottleneck. Latigo got a glimpse of horses, chaps, jeans, and boots jammed in stirrups. He tried to get up, and a horseshoe clanged against the back of his skull. Gosh, that Oh, this is my note here. I just have to say that has to hurt.
Yeah.
A horseshoe, like that's the bottom of a horse's hoof. That, oof.
And there's a degloving there, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're getting some peely skin there, I'm guessing.
Something, yeah.
Just for Flanagan.
Right. His hat saved him from being knocked out, but he went heavily to his knees, head down like a man in prayer. His vision was full of stars, and the back of his neck instantly covered in blood from the gash in his head.
Yeah, gash. You can call it a gash, but I have a feeling that
There's a flap of skin hanging off.
Yeah. Again, just maybe he'll get his hand up in there and go up into the gash. That'd be a fun thing for the movie.
Hey, Hayden's not here. You don't got to be so graphic.
I do it for the love of the game, sir. So very little is handy in a battle as having an angry enemy. Latigo's anger is driving him through any misgivings.
Yeah.
So like again, you got to rile up people's anger. I mean, even like throughout like the 20th century, how many wars was like, did they do propaganda and stuff to try to I mean, it was to break spirits, but there was also times that propaganda was used to like, foment, anger.
The hometown team too.
Yeah.
It's like they're killing babies, like those sons of bitches.
Yeah, exactly. The sound designer on the show is going to have a ball with the Thinny, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, and especially now as we're moving closer, like I feel like whatever sound you establish, you just get it louder, like progressively as the episode goes.
Yep.
It just gets louder and louder to the point where, in my mind, by the time we get a little bit ahead of what we got coming up here, I think that it should be to the point where you basically can't hear anything else. Like it should just be completely deafening. Like we always get that where there's like an explosion in a movie or whatever that sound is, just have it like that where it's just a consistent hum of that, whatever that sound is, and you can't hear anything else. The rest of it just is a silent thing. Like that's how I envision it. So
could be. So going on now, Latigo heard more screaming horses and men. He got up, coughing out the dust being raised by all the passing horses. He saw Hendricks trying to spur his horse against the oncoming tide of riders and couldn't do it. Hendricks kept spurring his horse forward, but it still just couldn't move. The rear third of the canyon was filled with greenish, steaming water, and there was a quicksand beneath it because Hendricks' horse seemed to be stuck in it. So that's where I get the water from, is like that description there.
But it grabs though, so even if it was like a misty thing, like the fact that he's interpreting it as like quicksand and water, but it's like if it's just watery, but then it's like grabbing him, and like because he's visualizing it like the guy's trying to get out, but it can't. And it's like, well, yeah, if it's grabbing you, it's not letting you out.
Yeah,
like
well, that's the surface, that's the green water type that's grabbing. Because it goes on here and it says that hungry buzzing sound filled Latigo's ear and seemed to fill the world. Turned back, he tried to scream these words, but they came out just as a croak. Still, the rioters poured past him, raising dust that was too thick to be just dust. Latigo pulled in a breath so he could scream louder. They had to go back because something was terribly wrong in this canyon. He then hacked it out without saying anything. Screaming horses and reeking smoke, and everything the world was filled with lunacy and that whining, winging, and cringing buzz. Hendricks' horse went down, eyes rolling. Hendricks fell sideways into the steaming, stagnant water, and it wasn't water at all. It came alive somehow as it grew, as he struck it, grew green hands and a green shifty mouth. The hands pawed Hendricks' cheeks, and Latigo saw it melted away his flesh. It pawed and tore off his nose, pawed and stripped his eyes from their sockets. It pulled Hendricks under, but before it did, Latigo saw his denuded jawbone, a bloody piston to drive his screaming teeth. I see, that's where I'm saying it's like, it's not the mist on top of the water, it's the water itself that comes alive, because it describes it as like the green. So the hands come up, and everywhere it touches, it's taking things. So that's what I was saying with like,
but again,
what I'm seeing with,
but again, like even the hand grabbing the bird is like, that's like the misty stuff that's like, so I feel like it's like
no,
a weird.
It's not the mist, it's the green stuff that's doing it. It just described it, that it's the green stuff that comes alive and paws at Hendricks and stuff, and it's the green hand that comes up and snatches the bird. It's not it comes up into the mist that's above it, but the mist is above the green layer of water. That's how it's described. So that's why I always thought like the blob kind of alive, but more liquid form than kind of gelatinous. So what I was saying earlier with Cuthbert is like, you're thinking that it's just going to be like a straight cut, like a butcher came through and zipped through his boot, because it does give like the shear thing. But what I think would happen is if it had caught the boot and there was part of toes there, I think that's where you're going to get a degloving, because that's what happens to Hendricks here. His flesh comes off of his skull.
But all I'm saying though is like the fact that he doesn't get anything in the book here, his toe's fine, but Roland sees his toes sticking out, and it's like, to me, just the The math of that. If it takes the boot at a certain point, if the toe is protruding even a millimeter, that would have taken that part of the toe.
Well, if
unless he has his toe like crunched up a little bit.
No, think of it as like acid though. So like it comes onto the boot and it goes around, the toes are inside. So as it's melting, it goes clean through, but then he pulls back just in time. So it's right before, so that's why the toe's sticking out, because it took the boot around it. And literally Cuthbert was a nanosecond away from it contacting his skin. He may even be like burned a little bit on his toes. We don't know, that kind of thing. So that's the way I think of it, because that's how it was described here with Hendricks. Literally, it's like pawing his face, and where it touches, it just melts. And that's my note here.
Has Flanagan done anything that graphic, like in terms of like melty? Like,
I don't know about melty. He's done some pretty graphic stuff, but I don't know about.
He's done some great graphic stuff.
What about
but there's something about melty that's just like really fucking like over the top graphic.
I think the closest we'd have would be Midnight Mass at the end with.
Ooh yeah, no, that's.
I think that might be the closest we have.
I actually need to rewatch Midnight Mass.
We should.
Yeah, because I've yet to rewatch that. So
you've only seen it
outside
once?
of Hill House. I've not rewatched any of his stuff. So
I think I've watched Midnight Mass twice and Haunting of Hill House twice. So it's like. Midnight Mass, I think that's the closest you would come to it, but
yeah.
But that's what my note here, just so we can get through that. Then you can do all your notes. I instantly think of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazi scene, like the flesh melt. That's what I'm picturing here.
Yeah,
is like you have that main Nazi and the doctor and everything like that, where like it's regular skin, then down to the tendons, then down to the muscle, then it's the blood and the bone is all that's left. That's what I'm picturing here with Hendricks. Is like touch, melt. Touch, melt, touch, melt. And so that's what I'm picturing is like stuff melting away.
I wonder if Flanagan will throw a cat in here for some reason too.
Someone has a pet cat under their arm. Because Flanagan hates cats.
He denies it, but
I mean,
there's a lot of evidence to the otherwise.
Actions speak louder than words, right?
Well, he does also claim that in the Poe book, the cat actually dies, and he doesn't kill the cat in House of Usher.
Oh, okay.
It's an imaginary dead cat. So he's like, that's his defense. He's like, I could have really killed the cat. I'm not really, but like, he's like, I could have killed a cat in the story there, but I actually changed it so it doesn't kill a cat. So he's like, quit saying I hate cats.
Oh, melting. Fall of House of Usher.
Oh God.
Oh my God. How did we forget about that?
Yeah, how did we forget about that? So we got melty.
He has experience with melting, folks.
Yes. That's gonna be fun.
Now,
An
organic T2000 is what Agamorphy says in the chat, and then Baraki has a heart and says Midnight Mass. Just finished my third watch, is what Agamorphy said. So yeah, we definitely have Flanagan having melty. I can't believe we both forgot about that for a second.
Again, I've only seen it once. And that's been a couple years now. So now waves of people are pushing other people into the Thinny. Latigo charged them in at full speed. Now they're going to lose some to the Thinny just purely through the laws of motion here. There's just no way you're going to be able to stop enough to not lose your first couple waves here. I absolutely love this moment of helplessness, the helplessness of realization for Latigo, to know you're dead in the midst of all this panic and chaos, and being unable to voice any commands. It's just deliciously horrifying that he doesn't even know about the fire yet.
Yeah.
Like, he understands something's wrong, something's off, and he's got like his sixth sense or whatever. But it's like he can't scream, and like, I don't know, like that's just and the great thing is you can't really portray this in a film or a series very well, like somebody not having a voice. But if you just deafen it through the sound of the Thinny, and you could just see him screaming, you don't even have to like communicate the fact that he doesn't have a voice. It's just a matter of no matter how loud you scream, the Thinny's louder. So
yeah, the problem is he's having trouble getting the voice out at all because he's choked with dust from all the writers.
No, yeah, but it's hard to convey that in a story as much.
I think that you just do it
in a movie. Or
I think you
TV
just do
show.
it the way that it kind of describes it here. He draws in breath, and then instead of being able to shout, he just starts hacking up a fucking lung.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably go that way.
Yeah.
I think you got to lean into the Thinny though. Have him like.
I don't think you're wrong about that.
Have him just shouting as loud as you can. But again, at this point, the sound designers got to where all you can really hear is the sound of the.
Yeah, there's movies that do that where like someone's like screaming, and all you hear is just like that ringing. It's just like.
Yeah, and that ringing is going to be way more pleasant than what we're going to probably be hearing.
It probably is, yeah.
And then, Flanagan's going to have a lot of fun with the gore on this.
Oh, yeah, especially after realizing how fall in the House of Usher. We should put that in the show notes.
I don't know how we forgot.
Oh, my gosh, that's for us, for both of us, Tad.
Shame.
Indeed.
Others saw this and tried to turn away, and the ones who managed were broadsided by the next wave of men, just what you were talking about, some of which were still yipping and bellowing full-throated battle cries. More horses and riders were driven into the green shimmer. Latigo, standing there stunned, saw the soldier to whom he had given his gun, this fellow who had followed his order and shot his compadres in order to awaken the rest of them. He was thrown from the saddle, howling, and then tried to crawl back from the edge of the green stuff. He got to his face, and two riders. He got to his feet. I don't know why I put face. He got to his feet, and two riders rode him down. The air was filled with the shrieks of the wounded and the dying, but Latigo hardly heard them. Mostly he heard the buzzing, a sound that was almost a voice inviting him to jump in and end it all. He struggled to clear his head and started to move, and was able to make some headway as the stream of riders was easing. But the men who had been able to hang back were shrouded in thickening smoke. Latigo could give no commands. Every time he tried to draw his breath, he coughed it out wordlessly. He pulled a boy out of his saddle, sending him crashing headfirst into a rock. Latigo pulled himself into a saddle and tried to spur the horse to the mouth of the canyon. The smoke was a thickened, choking white cloud of white smoke. As he headed for the mouth of the canyon, more horses loomed out of the smoke, and Latigo crashed into one of them for the second time in 5 minutes. He landed on his knees and scrambled to his feet, staggering, coughing, and retching, eyes red and streaming. The edge of the Thinny had a thimble of milling horses, many with broken legs and crawling, screaming men. Latigo saw several hats floating on the surface of the greenish surface. He also saw boots, wristlets, neckerchiefs, and the bugle boy's dented instrument still trailing the frayed strap. Suddenly a voice said in his head, "Come in." Latigo found it strangely attractive. "Come in and visit, squat and hunker, be at rest, be at peace, be at one." Latigo raised his gun, meaning to shoot it. He didn't believe he could kill it, but he would remember the face of his father and go down shooting. Except he didn't. The gun dropped from his relaxing fingers, and he walked forward. Others around him were doing the same. Into the Thinny. The buzzing rose and rose, filled his ears until there was nothing else. Nothing else at all. This is haunting. And I didn't expand on this because I wanted to talk to you about this. I think how I would do this scene is you have all this chaos, like you're talking about, all this chaos. And I love your idea of it just being that constant ringing. You don't hear anything else. You see him trying to shout. Maybe you have like that thing where it just like, it goes in and out just a little bit, where you get just like the little bit of people screaming and stuff like that. So you get a little bit more there. But then what you do is all of a sudden, all of that just cuts off. All the men cut off. The horses are still whining and stuff like that. You're not going to stop them. But all the men just cut off. All the men stop. And they all just, like zombies, into the Thinny at the end. And that's the end of the scene. That, dude, that is just fucking terrifying.
Yeah. No, this is some underrated horror for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. I also love spotting the guy that he gave his gun to earlier. That's the kind of thing you generally see in a show or movie. You establish a character that really doesn't mean that much, and then later on you see their fateful end.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Chekhov's gun for a character kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
yeah.
What's your name? Bob? All right, Bob, you're going to be my right-hand man. I'm going to trust you on this, Bob. It's like, Bob's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, yeah, that's a thing.
Bob has one day till retirement.
There's a Lethal Weapon movie where literally they have a scene where they talk to a cop. Because, it's a cop movie. They literally have a scene where they talk to a cop, and he's like, how old are you? Like, 19? He's like, I just turned 23. It's like, that dude's dead.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. They just established how old he is and how young he is. That motherfucker's dead. Like, you know it.
Yeah.
Like,
indeed.
and then my last note here, Latigo wanting to remember the face of his father is just fascinating to me because it's like, you're a scoundrel, kind of thing,
Yeah.
but he still wants to be honorable scoundrel. So it's just like, kind of like a weird thing here. Like Roland gets a Jonas for, like being dishonorable. It's like, Jonas shouldn't give a shit. It's like how I picture it and how it kind of fascinates me is like I picture Tombstone because that's always like my Old West go-to is like Tombstone. Could you imagine if someone went to what's the leader of the Tombstones, Cowboy Bob or
Curly Bill.
Curly Bill? Imagine if someone went to Curly Bill and was like, "You're a scoundrel," and he'd be like, "Why, thank you." He'd be like,
Yeah.
That's a compliment, sir. Let me buy you a whiskey," kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
But these guys are just like, "I'll remember the face of my father. I'm going to be honorable in my death," and it's like, are you honorable in life? Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Well,
So it's just kind of,
If not in life, then maybe in death.
I guess, yeah.
All right, so let's jump into subchapter 22 to close us out here. They saw it all from the notch where they stopped in a line about 20 feet below the top. They saw screaming confusion, panic, men being trampled, and men and horses being driven to the Thinny. Some walked in willingly. Cuthbert was the closest to the top of the canyon. The canyon's walk, and then Alain, and then Roland. Roland was only on a 6-inch shelf of rock holding the outcrop just above him. From their vantage, they could see what the men being killed could not. The Thinny was growing, reaching out and crawling eagerly towards them like a incoming tide.
Yeah, so that's where like the green water, like that's where I get like the blob feeling, right? Like it's
Yeah.
forward.
And so I hope this is as brutal as I picture it in my head.
Yeah.
That's all. That's my biggest hope.
I really want to see the melting flesh and brutality. I think it could be just men disappearing below the surface if they choose to go that route. But if it isn't, that's what I want. I want to see the.
It's
I want to see
Flanagan.
It's
the Flanagan. It's not going to be just them disappearing.
I hope not.
Also, the Thinny growing and reaching out really reminds me of the house from Haunting a Hill House. So I think Flanagan's going to nail the Thinny. Like, there's nothing overtly that like the house, but like there's just something about like a desire from the house that's very palpable in that show. So, going on here, I have a direct quote. Roland, his battle lust slacked, did not want to watch what was happening below, but he couldn't turn away. The whine of the Thinny, cowardly and triumphant at the same time, happy and sad at the same time, lost and found at the same time, held him like a sweet sticky ropes. He hung where he was, hypnotized, as did his friends above him, even when the smoke began to rise and the pungent tang made them cough dryly. And that's the end of the quote. Men shrieked their last breaths in the thickening black smoke below. The men below began to disappear as the smoke filled the canyon up like water. Horses whined from the smoke. The wind whirled the smoke like a whirlpool. The surface of the smoke was stained a pale green. And then finally the screams of John Farson's men ceased for good.
Yeah.
So that's haunting. If I were Flanagan, I would actually make this hard to watch. Try to make it to where the audience is just uncomfortable with this entire thing.
Yep.
See it like Roland does. But unlike Roland and the boys, the audience has no choice but to look. I mean, I guess they can turn their heads, but like, just make this uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly. I want people to feel uncomfortable watching this. Like, that's how brutal I want this to be. Kind of like Fall of Usher.
Yeah. That was hard to watch.
Yeah. Which is why I love it.
You want to read that last line because it's really good.
I hope he leaves us lingering on it until it's just uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I find it fascinating thinking about Farson here. There aren't any survivors, right? Like
No.
he is expecting Jonas, Latigo, and all these men and tankers and horses, and then on top of that is his glass ball. No one's gonna show up, and he's not gonna know what the fuck happened.
Yeah. No, 100% for sure.
Or is he?
I mean, without the ball.
He does have a magician.
No, that's true. I mean, Flag knows. Flag's probably watching from a crow's eye right now.
Ooh.
So, and they are the same person, I guess. So yeah, that's true. So we killed them. Roland thought with fascinated horror, and then corrected himself. Not we. I killed them. How long he might have stayed there? Who knew? Maybe until the smoke engulfed him as well. Then the voice of Cuthbert, who had begun to climb again, called down in a tone of surprise and dismay. Roland, the moon. Roland looked up, startled, and saw the sky now a purple color. His friends were outlined in it, and his face was lit by the fever orange rising moon. It was orange. And then I got a direct quote. Yes, orange. The Thinny buzzed inside his head, laughing inside his head. Orange as 'twas it rose on the night you came out here to see and count me. Orange like a fire. Orange like a bonfire. Just a healthy pause there. He wondered how it could almost be dark already, but he already knew the time had slipped back together. Twilight had come. Moonrise had come. And so to stop for some notes here, this is Roland's first mass killing. Sure, they took out plenty before this, but at this kind of scale, this has to really hit him. Also, the cruelty of this versus just shooting. There's something way more brutal.
That's literally what my note is. There's also a difference between killing men by shooting them and then having a massacre using a Thinny for a gunslinger. There's almost like less honorable kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if in the World War II that there's the stories of the alligators and crocodiles and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
You lure them and then run around the alligators and the crocodiles and you shoot them and then they run through the crocodiles and they get eaten. There's almost like less honor in that, right?
Yeah.
Than just fighting them one on one. Yeah,
honor from Red Dead.
Yeah,
which I'm very familiar with that sound, by the way.
You would be.
What about the moon? It's been plenty of bad since it's been plenty of bad things happening since we turned over to Demon Moon here.
Yeah,
so.
We've been hearing about how bad Demon Moon is for chapters now. Like
yeah.
just whole
screeching in the streets and stuff.
Yeah,
like
Petty the Trotter.
Yeah,
we've been hearing about how Jonas felt about the moon and
yeah.
Coral and
yeah.
Susan and
Shimi.
Rhea, Shimi. Everyone is like, even Miguel, who's drunk off his ass, is like, the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also is our ticking clock because it's now dark.
Yeah.
So.
And time slipped.
Yeah, yeah. So terror struck Roland like a fist aimed at his heart. It made him jerk backwards on the small ledge that he had found. He groped for the outcrop above him, but the axe seemed far away. Most of him was back in the pink storm. Maybe the wizard's glass had only shown him what what was worlds away in order to keep from showing him what might befall. So so close to home. And then I've got a direct quote. A good chunk here. Quote: I'd turn around if I thought her life was in any real danger. He had said in a second. So that's a fun callback.
Mm-hmm.
And then going on here, direct quote: and if the ball knew that, if it couldn't lie, maybe, or might it not misdirect? Might it also not take him away and show him the dark land, a dark tower? And it had shown him something else, something that recurred to him only now. A scrawny man in a farmer's overalls who had said what? Not quite what he had thought, not what he had been used to hearing all his life, not life for you and life for your crop, but death, he whispered to the stones surrounding him. Death for you, life for my crop. Char you tree. That is what he said. Char you tree, come reap. I'm getting chills just
mm-hmm.
This is why I read this word for word. And then one last chunk here for direct quote. Orange gunslinger, a cracked old voice laughed inside his head. The voice of the coos, the color of bonfires. Char you tree, fin de año. These are the old ways for which only the stuffy guys with their red hands remain until tonight. Tonight the old ways are refreshed as the old ways must be from time to time. Char you tree, you damn babby. Char you tree. Tonight you pay for my sweet Ermont, which is why I picked the chapters the way I did. Tonight you pay for all. Come reap. And that's the end of the direct quote.
I should have known that you picked this. You set this up.
Yeah, that was whenever I pick, which is not very often, you usually get put there before me. I always search through and look for Rhea. And so when I saw that, I'm like, and then an Ermont reference on top of that. And then I'm going to break direct quoting for a second here. He screamed, climb. And he reached up and slapped Alain's butt, screaming again to climb for their father's sake. Alain, dazed, tried to ask Roland what was wrong, but did begin to climb. Roland slapped his butt again like driving a horse. He screamed for them to climb. Maybe it wasn't too late, even now, but he knew better. Demon Moon had risen. He had seen the orange light shining on Cuthbert like madness and knew better. The Thinny and the laugh of the witch drilled in his head, and he knew better. And then the last line here, I did take word for it as well. Death for you, life for the crop, char you tree. Oh, Susan.
Ooh, I just got a chill down my spine, dude. I'm not kidding. I like.
Yeah,
whoa.
just that's why. Yeah, it's so well written. I couldn't like synopsize that better than just taking King's word. So I don't have a lot of notes there. I mean, we're out of time.
I have no notes.
We're out of time there, and that's a pretty good place to end it as well.
Yeah,
so.
Pretty good place. Sure.
So
we'll see you in a month.
Yeah, we'll see you in a month for the next chapter. Well, I mean. Yeah, I guess it is a month, but yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, with the outro stuff though, let me pull that up real quick. We did go a smidge long, but it's all good. So if you want to subscribe to us, you can find us on any podcasting service of your choice. Stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. Join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Show notes are at darktowerpalaver.com, as well as March Insanity. Go to darktowerpalaver.com/marchinsanity. That starts tomorrow. I mean, by the time you're listening to this on the podcast side, it's already started now, because I will usually post this on Sunday mornings. So it's now live to vote. March 1st. Go ahead and go vote. Help us crown our 2 winners. Become a patron at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. Then if you want to contact us, send us your Ermot remembrances. Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
None of that foolishness. The best way is email show@darktowerpalaver.com. Threads and Instagram is darktowerpalaver, all one word. And then Blue Sky is at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then our Twitter is at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. Facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then our merchandise, tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver.
Indeed. And yeah, we'll be back in a fortnight for our next roundtable. And then of course a fortnight after that. So 2 fortnights from now, we will be back for the next follow-up to this chapter, which that's quite a spot to leave us off. So we will see you guys then. And we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you guys for joining us. You guys are awesome. You guys are always good to have you as part of the conversation. And yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes if you're joining us for Geekery Abides. If not, we'll see you in a fortnight for roundtable number, I don't even remember anymore, 170 something.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys.
Bye, everyone.